We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guest is one of my series regulars, Dr. Footsie. Dr. Footsie is a cartoonist and an educator, works with adults and children as far as problems with smoking and other health issues. Dr. Footsie, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I was listening to that music. I almost could have asked you for a dance.
That's right. Maybe
it
later.
Sounded
maybe
so.
Later.
Maybe later. Okay. Real later.
Maybe later.
Okay.
And so you have been, you're a graduate podiatrist.
Yes, sir.
Career as a podiatrist.
Right.
And you discovered early in your career that you could teach children about wellness by using one of your talents. You can draw.
Self-taught at that. I doodled as a kid growing up and always had a liking to do that, but I used to always educate the patients by making it a little fun, by putting a little drawing together. You know, I've always known that when people go to doctors' offices, they're always a little anxiety, they're a little afraid. So you have to make people feel relaxed. And I think when you're going to educate people, I think you got to do it in a fun way, even though it's a serious problem. So I used to always doodle with the little feet, and I'd put eyes on it, put this and that, and it would, it would relax the people or the patients. And you'd be able to explain it to them in a nice, easy manner to do it. And then over the years, I had several. My office was originally in Compton, right. Southeast, South Central, I think it is, Los Angeles area, and I was there since 1969. So I was there for 40 years.
40 years.
48, even before I came out of the desert, and I had to go back to the desert, right?
Well, you put your time in then.
Yeah, well, I think I always put my time in. I assume the people kind of care. You know, there used to be an old thing I used to always hear. There was a song, I think, written by a group, I think We Are Family or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I never kind of said, but then it took me a long time to find out until as I come in and say, hey, cuz, hey, bro, how you doing? Hey, then I must have been in the family. Until one day, say, hey, you mother. I said, oh, wow, for real, I'm in the family now.
Well, that's nice. It's nice to be accepted by your clients and your friends, people in the community. Sure, it's very nice.
Yeah.
And so I noticed you have some photos that we're showing of some of the new characters that you've been working on.
Right.
And what is this new character?
Okay, or two new characters, I guess we could. It's for a program that we've developed called Club Sugarfoot. It's a diabetic awareness program to let people know on the harmful effects of diabetes in a kind of humorous approach. Do you know that every 20 seconds, for as long as it takes to lace a shoe, someone in the world will have lost a limb? Every 20 seconds, someone will have lost a limb in this world.
Diabetes.
Yeah, well, or just loss of lymph circulation. But a good factor is due to the diabetes. Diabetes has become an epidemic proportions in this country, especially with the type of food that people eat, the kids eat. Kids are lazy. Well, maybe that's a bad word, lazy. But they're used to sitting at the computer and sitting down. They're not active. When we were in school, we always were active. They made us have gym. You had to exercise, et cetera, et cetera. So you got little roly-polies out there. And, and there's a tendency when you're younger that the body, you're working and affecting. In order for diabetes to not occur, okay, although in older ages, you get diabetes type 2, you need the pancreas to function to produce insulin.
Right.
That breaks down the glucose into a thing because we need for the energy.
Right.
Okay. So, and as juvenile diabetics are people usually they don't have the capability of producing at all insulin.
And that, of course, is very rare, less than 5% of the population.
Yeah, okay.
Right, okay.
But as you get older, with an adult onset of diabetes, okay, is that the pancreas doesn't produce it as much, so so people develop like a second diabetes type 2, etc. They got to sometimes control it with diet. They can control it with medicine and stuff like that. But I think the key is eating properly, exercising, and of course the big thing is you got to choose your parents.
Right.
Genetically. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wasn't fortunate enough to choose my parents. I'm glad I didn't because I was happy with my parents. Okay, so I didn't do that. So with the characters with diabetes being first, we had the one program we started, which was called Dr. Footsie's 20 Tips, which I did the program here for you a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. It was on a cartoon character, tobacco, against the harmful effects of smoking. And smoking causes a lot of problems. Well, diabetes causes a lot of problems. And so, of course, over the years, I had made my characters into giant puppets, whatever, and put on a little stage show, etc. I guess in order to do what I'm doing in this life, you have to enjoy what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I think enthusiasm. Do you know the word entheos comes from the Greek, which means God within?
Oh, I did not know that.
No. And that's where the derivation for enthusiasm came from, entheos. So you got to feel it. You got to have it. You got to know what you're feeling that you're talking about, and you got to believe it. Well, anyway, so in the last couple of weeks, I developed the Club Sugarfoot program. You could maybe see the sign behind me. And I did about over 60 programs throughout L.A. County, I guess, senior citizen facilities, assisted living, parks and recreation, mainly attracting to the seniors to make it a fun way to educate them on the harmful effects of using the cartoons. Mm-hmm. So, and that went well. So then, since I've made all these other giant puppets, I said, okay, let me tackle it. And of course, I made it all out of corrugated, or just cardboard, over the years. And they're not small puppets. They're like about 4 feet long, about 2 feet wide, about 3 feet high.
Okay, those are big puppets?
Yeah. And so in order, when I came up with Sugarfoot, and this is a picture of Sugarfoot. I don't know if we're getting it on the camera.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I made her like she's made out of sugar cubes. So I was thinking, what could we use for sugar cubes? So I came up with, a friend of mine gave me styrofoam. So I got pretty good at carving the styrofoam. So I made the styrofoam, I gave her glasses because her eyesight went, put her hat on her. And of course, she's so into all the sweets and everything. So I made chocolate kisses, whatever you call it, chocolate candy. I made a couple of strawberries and a couple of other things. And that's, and put the glasses on her. It took me a couple of weeks of painstakingly, but I enjoyed it. And right. I really was going to bring the character up, but I wanted to make sure in handling it, and then after spending all the time, it wouldn't get broken.
Right.
I made a giant box, too bulky to move around. You need other people to kind of try and help.
Sure. Gotcha.
So, and this goes with my story, with my little animation. And of course, Josh, and I think I've become over the years, in the last couple, the toe tapper rapper. Because they all want, why don't you record some rap songs? Rap is not my thing. But I said, hey, maybe if it can attract the kids. So, hey, we wrote a little rap song on Sugarfoot and whatever. And if we got the time, I might be able to.
Hey, you want to do it?
Yeah, if I can remember some of the words and without music.
Remember to make it up. Good.
Yeah, well, we will. Okay.
Well, so you can look the lyrics. No problem. We'll give it to you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay.
You, yeah.
So it goes a little like this, okay? Without the music, hopefully I'm going to be. Who's this dapper toe tapper rapper, health fighting zapper, in a chewing gum like rapper? Dr. Footsie, let's go, Dr. Footsie. Sweets for my feet, sugar for my toes. When you're diabetic, you're the one that knows. Needles and pins, numbness and tingling, redness and swelling. There it begins, there it begins. Candy is dandy, sugar is sweet. When you're diabetic, that's no good for your feet. Excuse me. Check for blisters, check for cracks. Wear white socks. Don't be lax, don't be lax, don't be lax. Void the problems, feel for nails. Check the linings, it's your feet. We're defining. Wash your feet, dry them well. Test the water, you'll be swell, you'll be swell, you'll be swell. We got it here. Ulcers and gangrene, void nicotine. Keep your feet very clean. If they amputate, can you tolerate? Give an inch, lose a foot, that's a cinch. Lift them feet, clap them heels, tap them toes. Gonna tell a tale of Sugarfoot, Sugarfoot, how sweet it is. A little Jackie Gleason, because he was my favorite. Anyway, so
Well, that was very good.
that
Good for
was
you.
the rap, and because we got it with a little beat and a whole bunch of stuff to it, and it goes like that. So what we created, and I say we, I've got a couple of really good people that have gotten involved in what we're doing. So this was the answer to the Dr. Footsie's 20 tips. So we call this Dr. Footsie's 20 sweet bits, like bits of information, but like a chocolate bar. So I don't know.
Nice, Fritzy, very nice.
Are we getting that on the
Yeah.
Okay. So what we would do is
Looks like a big box of chocolate.
yeah, it's a big box of chocolate. Okay. So what we'll do, we use the individual characters. Usually Sugarfoot and her significant other.
I'll hold that for you.
Okay, thank you, young man.
Sweetie Toe.
Sweetie Toe,
Sweetie
which
Toe,
we
very
also made a puppet of him too. Okay.
Okay, good. Sweetie Toe. Very
Yeah,
nice.
right. Okay. So what we wanted to do, so we made them just like our program for kids as trading cards. Now, growing up as a kid, I used to collect a lot of trading cards. I think you originally told me you're from back east. And so I imagine they had trading cards all over. We used to save the baseball cards. So why not get to kids and people in a fun way so they could trade? And we call it TLC. Trade, learn, and collect. We want people to be able to share it with other people and make it like it's a program that you only get 4 cards in the packet, okay? You don't know which 4 you're going to get. The idea is to collect them all. But we were trying to tie in different corporations, companies. Hey, I'll sponsor a program. I'll buy so many of them. And so when people, let's say, would go to a restaurant, a dry cleaners, places where they don't sell drugs, alcohol, tobacco products, in a wholesome kind. And so when they purchase so much stuff, where they bought so much of dry cleaning, well, they get a little packet with the 4 cards in. You don't know which 4. So the idea is to collect them all. So what we did, in a fun way, was to be, and I'll try and go through the cards with you, Josh, okay? So bit number 1, okay, you want to hold them up then?
I'll hold them for you.
Yeah, okay. And so I'll have to look at, okay. It's a picture of Sugarfoot.
Sugarfoot.
Okay. It's a picture of a shoe with no foot in it, 2 bare feet, and a thumbtack. And the back is there. Diabetic, sweet bit number 1. Never walk barefooted.
For diabetics.
Yeah, but for anybody, really. I remember my mother used to sew a lot, and occasionally, she'd drop a needle. That's why, and needles get caught in the rugs.
Right.
And
Right.
boy, I'd hate to even walk around because over the years I've pulled needles out. We're talking when I was practicing.
Now, as a practicing podiatrist,
yeah.
you really feel people should be wearing shoes.
Yeah, some kind. I mean, I get a little.
Covered.
I don't think you should walk around barefoot anywhere.
All right.
Unless you had a floor like my mother's and you could eat off it. Now, my floor might be a little bit different.
Gotcha.
I don't know, you might have the cockroach and everybody else eating in there, but that's okay. So the idea of not walking barefoot, you don't know what you're going to step on.
Right.
Could be a broken glass that the grandma had. She fed the grandkid. They dropped the glass or whatever. It broke. Maybe they couldn't sweep it up or
Right.
whatever. So and so you're going to get, and diabetics, again, when you lose that sensation, I'll go to the next card in a minute, okay? You don't want, because losing the sensation is very important. Now, number 2, we had to give Sweetie Toe equal opportunity. Now, when somebody once asked me, when I created Sugarfoot probably about 15, 20 years ago, but then just recently started. So I needed to make her a mate. Yeah. So
Good for you.
we came up with Sweetie Toe. And people kept saying, well, why Sweetie Toe? Shouldn't she be Sweetie Toe? And he be Well, I'm not about to change the name now.
Right.
So he is Sweetie Toe. And maybe if they have a little kid, that may be Sugar Baby. I'm not too sure. Okay. So that number 2 shows picture of Sweetie Toe, a tub, a little water in there, looks like a towel. On the back, you want to bathe your feet daily. I think that's what the number 2 is here. Wash feet daily. Dry thoroughly. Oh, Josh is going to do good as a prop man. I could see he turns the things.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Number 3, okay? Again, we go back to Sugarfoot, okay? A little tub of water, a little thermometer, a couple of feet in there, okay? You always want to check the water. Diabetics lose that sensation in their feet. So they can't tell how hot or something is. And if it's hot water, too hot, you're going to burn the skin. Right. You burn the skin, you cause an ulcer, you allow bacteria and other organisms to come in. That's the big downfall. Once you get an organism to grow in that foot there, in an environment, and it goes so rapidly, you got some problems.
Right.
Okay? And then, like I said, the ultimate thing is you want to avoid, okay, so you want to test the water before bathing.
Right.
Okay? Number 4. Okay? Back to Sweetie Toe in the picture. I drew a bed scene, put like a sock on it, one sock on, one barefoot, showing like it's nighttime, okay? Most people, when they go to bed at night, if it's cold, you should put on more socks. People, you do not ever want to use electric heating blanket, hot water bottles. Do they still use hot water bottles? Maybe they do.
Why, for the feet it's bad?
Yeah, because again, if it's so hot and you're a diabetic, and one of the things that goes, you lose that nerve sensation. Right. You don't know how hot it is. You could be putting it on. It could be like an oven, right?
Right.
And it feels good, but meanwhile it's doing its damage and burning the skin. Were you going to ask me something?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, and the back of that, okay. If feet cold at night, wear socks or find somebody to sleep with, I guess.
That's another option too.
That's always an option. The only problem is my daughter kept taking the teddy bear back home, so I had nothing. Okay. Number 5. Okay.
Yes.
Back to Sugarfoot, showing what I drew up the bottom of the foot, a little magnifying glass. You want to always check on the bottom of your feet. Always. Or have somebody check for you. You don't know what may be happening there. You can't see, especially as you get older, your eyesight goes. You can't see and whatever. So the back of that one, the response will be to keep me honest. Check for blisters, cuts, and scratches. They could occur there, and that should be done daily. Okay? So that's another reason why you got to find a roommate, a partner, or somebody. Because if you're too late, at least somebody's looking after you. Oh, let me check to see if you got cracks there. Okay.
No, good advice.
Well, okay.
Thank you.
Number 6. We're moving along. Number 6, sweetie toe. A little shoe with a little odor looking like something coming out of it. Another little foot looking with the binoculars, okay? You always want to check inside. Turn it around, Josh, because again, I don't know them all by heart. Inspect inside the shoes daily. Again, you don't know what may be in that shoe. Going back to that
You
story.
mean like a nail in the shoe?
Well, yeah. Going back to that story, the little kid breaks a glass in grandma's house. Or for whatever. Or she was walking around in grandma's shoe. Or she got a whole bunch of sand in there from the beach. I don't know.
Right.
So again, you're walking around. You don't know what's in that shoe.
Right.
So you check it.
Okay, good.
Okay. Better to play.
Seems prudent. Okay.
Yeah, prudent. Okay. Okay, number 7. Showing Sugarfoot 2 different type size shoes. A little big shoe and a little shoe. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the feet are fit properly. Never too big, the shoes, never too small.
Okay.
You want to make sure. Okay. I think number 8. Okay, sweetie toe. Now I'm from an old school. Okay, and when they used to teach in school, always the diabetics should wear white cotton socks. Now they've got diabetic socks, different colors. I guess it's made out of another kind of material.
What was the reason for the white socks? There was blood?
No. You don't want, when you wear colored socks, the dye may run.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Right.
Sweat and whatever. Again, cleanliness is next to godliness, right?
Right.
Okay, so you wanted to. So it should be always wear white cotton socks. Okay?
Okay.
That's my thinking.
Okay.
Okay. Number 9. Okay? Now, you don't want to wear, and I think this is one, maybe the short stockings or whatever, okay? You always want to make sure that your socks and the stockings are the right fit too. Not only having the right fit on the shoes, the socks also. They do cover your feet. So you want to make, because if it's too tight of a pantyhose, it has a tendency to pull the toes back.
Huh?
And when it pulls it back, then you get the contraction of the toes, you develop the hammer toe corns, you get calluses. The diabetics do not want to have problem with irritations on the foot, okay?
Already.
Okay. Number 10. Now, they've been giving me a hard time with this, people. I don't know if they use these anymore, but hey, we need to come up with 20 things. Maybe they use them at weddings still. I don't know. You don't want to use garters or garter belts. I guess what they call garter belts. Do they still use the garter belts?
Not that I know of, but hey.
I mean, I haven't checked lately, but, because it constricts.
Anything goes, I'm not,
it constricts. So, no garter belts, okay?
No garter belts.
Okay.
Move on.
Okay. Now, number 11, okay? 7-11. We got the 11. Okay. When you wearing pantyhose, I guess this could be mainly for the women. I guess some women could wear pantyhose, okay? And I didn't even know that they had fancy ones that had seams on them. I guess to make it look fancy, they had a seam.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay. You want to avoid pantyhose or something like that without seams, okay? Because that's an irritation point. I see we're moving on the time, so okay. Number 12 is sweetie toe again. Okay, you do not want to ever do bathroom surgery. You don't want to ever cut your own corns and calluses. It's a no-no. You cause more problems and could create a problem.
What, infection?
Yeah. I mean, how good when your eyes go bad, you nick someone, who knows what kind of instruments you were using.
No, good point.
Whether you're using the stuff you were cutting the artichokes with or whatever, I don't know what you might have been using.
You've seen all this stuff as a podiatrist?
Yeah. I don't know for cutting artichokes, but whatever they had.
Do not cut corns and calluses. Okay.
Right. Okay. This is another one, okay. Never wear, my mother used to say, she used to always, I guess you come from a family, you're trying to get the most mileage with the economy. She used to always, if you had a hole in your sock, she'd sew it up. Not a good idea.
No.
Okay? No, because it causes a seam there, and that causes an irritation. So never wear mended socks. If you can't afford it, I don't know what to tell you, but never wear mended socks.
Okay. All right.
Okay?
No mended socks.
Okay. Number 14, do not ever use any chemicals over the counter, because those chemicals like Free-Zone and the stuff you buy at the pharmacy's got acid in there. That'll eat at the corn. It'll also eat at your skin. It'll ulcerate. It'll cause a problem.
Oh, so you're opposed to those?
Yeah,
Okay,
don't
bad
ever
idea.
use any of that
All
stuff
right.
with chemicals in it. Okay.
right, okay.
Now, here's one of my ones. Okay. Number 15.
Yeah.
What I call things to do. So Sunday, you make like you go shopping, which I never take my little list out with me. Okay. Sunday, change socks. Monday, change socks. Tuesday, change socks. Wednesday, change socks. Thursday, change socks. Friday,
So there's a pattern there.
yeah, somewhat of a pattern. And even on 8 days a week, you could change then too. Okay, so you should always change your socks daily.
Okay.
Just like shoes should be changed because it needs to get air dried
Okay,
out.
that seems fair.
Okay, number 16. Okay, you want to always look between your toes, especially if you can't see. Have somebody, because you may have something growing between the toes. You might have fungus there, or you might have humongous the fungus among us, and you don't want anything
No,
going
don't want
down there.
that, no.
Right.
All right.
Okay. Number 17. Okay, 17. This is showing a picture with, as you're a diabetic, you should at least once a year, if not more, you may visit your foot doctor
Right.
as an important thing, and tell them you're a diabetic, okay? Because that's important. Okay. If this is number 19, maybe we left off 18. Where was 18? Maybe misplaced. Oh, here's 18
Okay.
stuck behind 17.
Okay, sorry, 18. There we
Okay.
are. Yes.
When you do go to the foot doctor or wherever you go to the doctor and you feel anything, make sure that you want to tell them you are a diabetic. What are you going to tell him? No, if he's going to trim your corns or cut your calluses or cut your tongue, let him be aware of it. Be a little bit more careful. Not that he won't be careful. So you want to tell that to the doctor. Okay.
Right.
18, 19 behind it there.
Yes.
Okay.
Oops.
If you're a little on the chunky side, one thing that diabetic, you should always try and lose extra weight, exercise. So that's important.
Okay.
Okay, so no big.
Okay, excellent.
And number 20,
Yes.
get as much exercise. And I made like a little game. I've actually had a rolled out thing where people can play like a hopscotch, no diabetes. And the one thing, the bonus card that you want to avoid gangrene. That's our famous character. You do not want to, because off with the limb. Every 20 seconds, it will happen that fast. So that basically would cover on the general thing with the program, with the cards, and what we're trying to do. And
Well, Footsy, that seems very strong. How can the listening audience
Yes, sir.
to LA Talk Live get in contact with you?
well, they could look me up on the internet. Okay, on my website.
Yeah.
I go under the stage name of Dr. Footsy.
Dr. Footsy.
Name stuck, so we stuck
good
with-
name, very good
okay,
name.
so it's www.drfootsie.org. And you could call me on the phone.
Good, give us
It's
your number.
310 Newfeet, 310-639-3338, excuse me.
Okay, that's very good. Dr. Footsy,
Yes,
I'd like
sir.
to thank you for being a guest today.
You're,
Here's to
you're
your health.
welcome. Hopefully, we'll have an opportunity to come back. And then when they play the music next time, I'll
We'll
make
dance.
sure I wear the tuxedo.
That's a good idea.
And we'll dance and we'll do a number.
It's a very nice idea.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We've been chatting with Dr. Footsy, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
St. Gregory the Great Catholic School is proud to host our 4th annual golf tournament at Westridge Golf Club on Friday, February 28, 2014. Events like this and people like you help make a difference that enrich the lives of our children in both educational and extracurricular activities. There is still room for golfers who believe in making a difference in the lives of our children. We want you to join us on this day. We are forever grateful for your support. Enjoy 18 holes of golf, green fees, cards, and a hot meal, dinner and dance. The website you should go to for more information is www.stgregorythegreatschoolwhittier.org. Again, www.stgregorythegreatschoolwhittier.org. Or you can call 562-941-0750, extension 771. Again, 562-941-0750, extension 771.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to the Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Starlet Quarles, and I'm inviting you to join us every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. for a new show right here on LA Talk Live, The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People. Join us as we discuss the topics that are relevant to today's generational leaders. So don't forget to tune in to The Dialogue, Real Talk, Real People, every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
In the burgeoning field of anti-aging medicine, Dr. Hans Kugler, professor at Roosevelt University in Chicago and president of the Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine in California, has been on the cutting edge. The author of Lifelong Health, Learn How to Control Your Genes to Stay Young with Age. And now the host of Here's to Your Health, Hans Kugler.
Well, thank you for this magnificent introduction. Josh, you always make me feel so good. Now, we have a fascinating show today, and that's one of my guests. This is Dr. Karen Sun. I learned about her many years ago when a friend of mine was telling me, "Oh, I'm going to this doctor and she's magnificent and she knows everything and she keeps me in good health." Right, Sonny? Right?
Yes.
Anyway, and in the meantime, Karen came out with a new book. Here it is, right? Vitality Now. And Karen, at first, where do you practice?
I was trained as internal medicine specialist, and I've been practicing for 30 years. The first 20 years, I've been doing what I was taught, but in the last 10 years, I've been doing more holistic care, and more recently, anti-aging.
Mm-hmm. Well, anti-aging is the real fascinating part, right?
Yes.
We all want to stay young and fit and
Yes.
being able to do whatever we want to do. No? Anyway, so in which area here? How can people reach you? Where are you actually physically practicing?
I have office in Irvine. We call it Integrative Wellness Center. And you can reach me through my website, which is drkarensun.com or theintegrativewellnesscenter.com. And I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Okay. Well, we talked a little bit about this before. In my field, in aging research, with my experience previously with Professor Emanuel Churaskin from Alabama University School of Medicine, where we defined lifelong health as a state of homeostasis achieved by doing so and so many variables correctly. And I got together with Professor Churaskin several research projects, and we redefined lifelong health as a state of homeostasis achieved by doing all these various health practices correctly, right? And then people responded, well, this is just health practices, you know, what does it have to do with aging? Well, in the meantime, we learned about telomeres, those little extensions at the end of your DNA molecules that are getting shorter as we get older. And these telomere connections showed and proved that health practices are actually true anti-aging modalities. That means the good health practices are true anti-aging modalities, while the faulty health practices actually shorten telomere lengths. And so we have the connection between the health practices and true aging. Number one, that's what's very, very important. And in aging research, we normally look at first in an evaluation of people regarding their health practices, which priorities, and what they're doing wrong, and how we can help them to improve that. Now, you and a lot of my other MD friends, you have people coming in, and you obviously recognize that they're having some medical problems, right? And you define the medical problems in terms of, you know, special areas, and then you look at what can we do differently. So how did you actually get into this field in evaluating people, and what approach do you use, or the same approach possibly that you use in the book?
I always think I'm a wounded healer. When I was in medical school, I have to work very hard for the training, and once out and practicing medicine, I was doing what I was taught to. But over the years, I become dissatisfied because I see the way I was trained to was only treating symptoms without looking at the root cause of the problem. And we throw people medicines and more medicines, and pretty soon they become walking pharmacy. And because I'm an internist, I took care of a lot of older people in their 70s and 80s and even 90s. And there's times I feel there's nothing I can do to help them anymore, and the medicine just causing more problem for them. But I didn't know how to change the practice module until when I reached menopause myself about 10 years ago. I went to...
Oh, come on. You're not older than 35 or something like that.
Thank you. Thank you. But I went to my gynecologist, and she told me, you have a few choices. You can get on birth control pills, you can get on Premarin, Provera, or you can take antidepressant or sleeping pill to help you sleep. Because that time my symptom was I couldn't sleep, I was having hot flash, I was tired. And also I was feeling down, I wasn't feeling myself. So to me, those are really not good choices because I know how much side effect they can cause and how difficult to get off those medication. And just by serendipity, I have a friend who's a compounding pharmacist, and he introduced me bioidentical hormone cream. At that time, this is more than 10 years ago, and not many people knows about bioidentical hormone at that time. So I started to use on myself, and because I'm a female internist, I have a lot of female patients following me. So I started to use on my patient too. Within a year, there's a book came out by Suzanne Summers called 60 Years. And all of a sudden, I think the women in the United States realized there's such thing as bioidentical hormone. And this compounding pharmacist happened to be listed on her book as one of the resources. So he was indented with phone calls and asked for referrals. So he referred those people to me. And so overnight, I built up a large clientele of women who want to seek bioidentical hormone replacement. And also about a year or two into using a cream, I find out it helped certain people, but not everybody. And even it helped people, but they don't help everything. And also a patient came to me and she introduced me this implanted pellet therapy. I studied more, but because I know to reach healthy aging, you have to use a whole approach, not just the hormone. So I learned further about nutrition, which I only studied for a course in medical school.
In medical school, you have a few hours about nutrition, right? Carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, right? And vitamin, that's unimportant, right?
So, and being that I always have a lot of stress in my life, I've always been into exercise, meditation, and yoga. So I further search more spiritual healing. And I find out for people to reach optimal health, you really need to balance the hormone, which is the easy part. And you have to have a healthy lifestyle. You are what you eat, and you are what you think. And
I totally agree. You know, actually, we all go through some of the experiences. You know, I mean, years ago when they started talking about hormone replacement therapy, like the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine is teaching their whole seminars, you know, on that and certification courses. By the way, anybody out there who wants to look at the website, www.worldhealth.net. Right? This is especially for MDs. We always have the big meetings in December in Las Vegas and also in Orlando in the spring. And, you know, the very first thing was, for women, Premarin. Well, what is Premarin? Excuse the language.
It's pregnant mare urine.
Horse urine, right?
Yes.
I mean, what a distressing, disgusting thing to keep thousands of horses pregnant just to isolate that thing. And it's totally imbalanced. Like in one case, I learned about a lady. She says, I was, we were retired, and my husband passed away, and I was very well taken care of. And suddenly I was by myself, and I met this gentleman, and he wanted more than friendship. And I thought, why not, right? And all what my body says, it hurts, right? And so then I went to my doctor, and the doctor says, well, maybe you should take antidepressants. Well, that's the dumbest thing ever, right? And some other doctor says, well, maybe you should have a couple of glasses of wine before you engage into a little bit more physical activity, right? That didn't work either. He says, and then I went to this lady. She actually gave me, would you believe it, testosterone, the male hormone. And she responded, whoa, I never had sex like this before. Anyway, so the balancing is obviously, a lot of people only think about female hormones, women, male hormones, testosterone. No, it isn't. We both have both hormones, just in different ratios.
I'm glad you mentioned about testosterone. Do you know that testosterone actually is the major hormone for women after menopause?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and the traditional hormone replacement therapy ignore testosterone. But testosterone is the one give people mental clarity and increase the muscle mass so they don't gain weight, and also give them energy in a sense of well-being.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and naturally with the other hormones, I mean, you look at the overall ratios of different hormones, take all of this account in hormone replacement. But let's go back a little bit more towards the health practices, right? I am reminded of a study that just came out of Dresden University in Germany that basically said, you worry about aging? The general belief that after the age of 50 or 55 is nothing really what you can do about it with exercise and so on. Total nonsense. The data that they presented there, in essence, said at any age, 85 plus and older, if you do it correctly, you can build lean muscle mass, you can increase your stamina, it actually enhance endocrine systems, and it's one of the most basic requirements, right? I mean, many years ago at Roosevelt University in Chicago, we did longevity studies with cancer-prone animals. I mean, the same use as for human studies. They get cancer at the same ratios. And we put animals under all the wrong conditions and all the right conditions. And Professor Taraskin predicted that we would get about 100% difference in average lifespans, right? Now, why do we use retired breeders? Because the animals have already gone through a major lifespan. It's very interesting for me to know that if I treat an animal or a human being right from birth with a certain condition, that will be very effective there. It doesn't do anything for me, right? I'm a little bit past that point, right, at my age, and like we all are.
Still works, right?
it still works, right? And the key point here was that if we got about 96% in average lifespan, I mean, the difference between the two groups. But the key point was, if you repeated the same experiment without the activity, the animals were made to exercise in a rotating drum, and we let them build up their own speed. We do the same thing. As people get older, start a little bit, do a little bit of exercise, and then take another machine and sort of build up, right? Over several weeks. Well, the key point was when we repeated the experiments without the exercise, everything dropped by 50%.
Wow, that's
and
significant.
That then led to a rearrangement. Like in earlier years, we used to say nutrition, exercise, stress management. Right? Those are the key areas. No, not anymore. Now it's exercise, right? Number 3, detoxing.
Detoxing is very important.
Very important. But tell us a little bit more about how you approach this, for example, with your patients. I mean, why is the detoxing so important for you?
We live in a very toxic world. If you look at the cancer rate, it increased tremendously in the last 50 years. For instance, breast cancer, it was only 1 in every 20 women, and same thing with prostate cancer 50 years ago. But now it's in 1 in every 6 for both men and women. And if you plan hormone replacement therapy for the breast cancer, but men never got hormone replacement in the past. And if you look at our environment, there's tens of thousands of chemicals being invented each and every year and dumped into our environment, and they are not biodegradable. So what goes around comes around, and they store in our body. And I really think they trigger inflammation and cause more age-related diseases such as cancer, coronary, Alzheimer's, and cardiovascular disease.
Yeah, we remember. I mean, several years ago, Time Magazine, as the biggest cover story ever, had their start for all the problems is inflammation. Right,
inflammation.
And I mean, this is really what we look at, right? And in respect to the hormones and with everything else, now we learn how to look at other things. For example, when we take testosterone as, one of the key things that we look in the blood analysis is the estradiols, right? Right. And we want to keep that in check, and we use, what do you use there to keep this in check?
Okay. There are people who can convert testosterone genetically into estrogen, both men and women. And we now think the prostate cancer is probably not related to the testosterone itself. It's more to the estrogen component, especially the environmental xenohormones. They stimulate the estrogen receptors. And when I do hormone replacement with men, when I use testosterone, I always check their ratio to the estrogen. If their ratio is too high, they have too much estrogen, I have to use a blocker. We call it aromatase to blocker to prevent the conversion of testosterone into estrogen. And also help him using herbs to help him detox to reduce the xenohormones in their body.
Well, like what do you use as the blocker for the estradiols? I mean, there's some very simple things like DIM, diintegrated methane.
Right, like DIM, and also there's prescription medicine too we use.
Right, very good, very good. We think alike. Magnificent. Anyway, coming back to the detoxing. Several years ago, the Foundation for Advancement in Science and Education, a branch of the of one of the basic alternative medicine approaches, did some studies and showed that we had between 50 and 100 toxic chemicals in our body.
Yes, right? That's very amazing.
Yeah, and they all now are connected via endocrine disruption.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Now, we learned a little bit more about the mechanism of how this works. And at first, for the non-scientist, it looks a little bit complicated. Like if, let's say, there's a need for your body to stimulate immune functions. Let's say something like that, right? And there's a messenger chemical, a hormone that comes to the surface of the cell, and because it's too big, it can't get inside the cell. It hooks up. It's called the lock and key mechanism.
The receptors.
And it brings a message across to the inside of the cell, and then it transmits the message to the DNA, and the DNA makes a messenger RNA, and the whole long process, it actually triggers the synthesis of immune chemicals, and everything runs off normally. Well, now we know that in that simple process, 4 different steps can be actually blocked by hormone disruptors. Right?
Yes.
And I mean, that is so severe. And today, everybody read the newspapers. How about acetaminophen? Big story in the newspapers today, right? That women taking acetaminophen during pregnancy can induce some real problems in children, right? And one of the university studies that did that connects that via endocrine disruption, right? Now, the endocrine disruption with all these chemicals, so what do we do about it?
Very, very good question. Our body has a built-in detox system, start from our liver. We have phase 1 and phase 2 detox pathway. Phase 1 is mostly we call the hydroxylation, and phase 2 has many chemical reactions, including methylation, glutatization, so on and so forth. So you want to increase what we need to do to help the liver to detox, which involve a lot of vitamins, minerals, amino acid, and some herbs can help that too. So think liver is a packaging company. If you're going to move, you have to pack your furniture first, and then can be...
Oh, good comparison. I like that. Yeah.
It can be transported to the car and moved away. So liver is the packaging company. It packages the toxins to be dumped out from our body through where? Through the urine, through our intestine. So that's why constipation is very bad. You have, it's like the sewer pipe is plugged up, and if you don't drink enough water, you don't flush the toxin out.
That's also where probiotics come in, right?
Right, the probiotics is for the intestine. And also sweat is important. So you want to take supplement to help your liver detox, and then you want to drink a lot of water. You want to exercise, sweat it out, and make sure you have good bowel movement. But also avoiding exposure to the toxins is very important. Like we said, the hormone disruptors. For instance, if you eat a lot of fruit and vegetables, if they're not organic, you get what? Pesticide.
You get again, right?
Right.
And that's the biggest thing right now. corn. I mean, you go to any store, any restaurant. Well, there's some corn chips and this and that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the biggest problem with corn? Literally 80% of what we're eating is genetically modified,
GMO,
right?
yes. Mm-hmm.
And there's two types of corn, right? The one corn that is via genetically modifying it is resistant against herbicides, right? So you can dump tons of herbicides on this crop and they will still grow and it will keep all the weeds under control. But
Right.
the problem is when you eat that stuff, you're eating all these herbicides,
Right.
And they're again classified as endocrine disruptors.
Exactly.
And then there's the other type of corn that has a built-in, again, via genetically modified approaches, it makes a pesticide. I mean, when the corn gets ripe, the bugs come and they want to eat it. Well, they don't have like what we have at Torrance Airport, you know, where I fly my airplane. We don't have any radar. It says, oh, incoming there, be careful. No. I mean, it just makes the pesticides all the time. And it kills the bugs. But on the other hand, when you eat that, naturally you're eating a lot of the pesticide. Right? And I'd like to call attention, really, it's a very important paper by a Professor Serolini at Cayenne University in France, who fed the two types of genetically modified corn to test animals. And you can go to my website, drhanskugler.com, and you will see pictures of his publication. It's amazing. Humongous tumors, cancers, organ malfunctions caused by that. And guess what happened? The manufacturer of that genetically modified garbage that we're eating, where we don't even have the right to know what's in it.
Exactly. That
Actually,
law was.
that's right.
Yeah.
And he goes to the publishing house, probably with a lot of money, and convinces them to replace that editor with a scientist from Monsanto, right? 100 of the top scientists in the world said this magnificent paper is the best ever. They use the right animals and so on and so on. But the dirty business with money affecting that is just unbelievable. You can see that everywhere, you know. Anyway.
I agree with you. The other big one is plastics.
Yeah.
The plastizers, that's everywhere. We drink plastic bottled water. A lot of people put in the car.
That's why we
That's
have
why we
our
have
water
this one.
in glass
In
bottles,
glass,
right?
right?
Castle Rock water, magnificent.
Right. Especially those very thin plastic bottles. They make noise when you squeeze them. If they sit in the car for a long time, the plastic sip right into the water. And that's how we eat plastics.
Right. There's a hardener in the plastic. It's called BPA, bisphenol A, another endocrine disruptor.
Right.
Anyway, and the detox program that is now very much endorsed by the major alternative medical organization is a program where we use about 1.5 grams of non-flushing niacin, right? Niacinamide. Then we do some exercise, and then we sit in a sauna, and sweat,
yes,
right?
You sweat it out.
And our skin, there's our second kidneys, it comes right out there.
Right.
And again, what the FACE people did, they put some gauze over many different parts in our body, including the forehead, and aluminum foil over, and then they make people sweat under those conditions. And what comes out is exactly what's in our body, the toxins. It's an absolutely magnificent record. I know. Yeah. Anyway, so everybody go out and get Dr. Sun's book, and you will learn about it. Give us your website and phone number again.
My phone number is 949-786-6780. And my website is www.theintegrativewellnesscenter.com.
Okay. And Dr. Karen Sun, S-U-N. Go to any one of the booksellers. Vitality Now.
Thank you.
And you're going to be healthy. And you're going to be fit.
Yes.
to LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network, original reality radio, handcrafted for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk. Stay tuned.
St. Gregory the Great Catholic School is proud to host our 4th annual golf tournament at Westridge Golf Club on Friday, February 28, 2014. Events like this and people like you help make a difference that enrich the lives of our children in both educational and extracurricular activities. There is still room for golfers who believe in making a difference in the lives of our children. We want you to join us on this day. We are forever grateful for your support. Enjoy 18 holes of golf, green fees, cards, and a hot meal, dinner and dance. The website you should go to for more information is www.stgregorythegreatschoolwhittier.org. Again, www.stgregorythegreatschoolwhittier.org. Or you can call 562-941-0750, extension 771. Again, 562-941-0750, extension 771.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hello world, I love you and I love me. Real talk straight from the heart brain. It's Madam Mibrations here, founder of Mibrations, sharing the Love Your Skin body butter, also known as a booty butter. Mibrations creates with the highest vibrational energy on this planet Earth, which is love. So please support yourself, the world, and lupus community by purchasing any Mibrations healthy and living products. I also make vegan therapeutic living candles. You can find my products in the Bee Lounge located at 4873 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, Woodland Hills, California 91364, and at the Ink Rich Tattoo and Piercing located at 7211 Van Nuys Boulevard, Van Nuys, California 91405. Thank you for the highest good of all. I love you and I love me.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My next guest is with the cosmetic beauty line Nerium. Nerium has achieved a certain amount of popularity past several years. It's a product that people feel really helps with the beauty and helps with the quality of the skin. And so therefore, Lori is here today representing Nexium. Nerium, rather. Thank you for being a guest on my show, Lori. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
And so for my listeners, what exactly is Nerium? Because some people know the name, some people don't.
Nerium is actually a skin-defying treatment. And basically what it's going to do is help repair the skin. It's a night treatment, so we put it on at night. And it has a patented formula derived from the oleander plant and the aloe vera plant.
Mm-hmm.
And it just has miraculous benefits as far as getting rid of fine lines, wrinkles, discoloration, sun damage, large pores, even changes the skin texture. So it's quite a remarkable product.
This sounds remarkable. And I know there's been some discussion about the oleander plant. Some people feel that, no, it is a toxic plant and shouldn't be used. It's poisonous, potentially. So what is your thinking on that?
Well, the oleander plant is actually grown all over California. Mm-hmm. People can touch it and grow it and plant it. It's poisonous if ingested.
I see.
So in other words, we're not ingesting it, and it doesn't even penetrate the skin into the bloodstream. So we really haven't any worries.
And when did this company, when did Nerium, here's some showing some on camera, when did this become available?
Nerium is a very young company. It's going on 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it started out basically as an accidental recovery. They were testing the product for skin cancer and realized that the skin itself was improving, and people who were actually using it wanted more of it to use on other parts of their body, especially the face.
Do you mean physicians were testing it for skin cancer?
A biotech company.
I see.
A biotech company actually, tested, experimented, and they have the patent. And then they did clinical studies. So this has been 10 years in research and then another 3 years in clinical studies.
And did it indeed help skin cancer patients, or it was not successful?
Oh, no, it's successful.
Oh, I see.
Very
so you mean,
successful.
for example, I'm just asking, this is like for sun damage, is that what we're referring to? What are we referring to here?
Sun damage actually, yes, is helped with this product.
And how do I use it?
Well, it's actually really simple. The night treatment, actually, you wash your face, keep it damp. I even apply
I wash my face with warm water, cold water. What do you suggest?
You can wash your face really with whatever you want, however you normally do it. There's no rules to that. I prefer myself, soap and water. Someone may have another skin product. So you wash your face, dry it, and then what I suggest is re-wetting it. So dampen it either with a cotton, your fingers, a spray bottle, however you'd like. And then I also put some water on my fingers. There isn't any water in the product. Therefore, you add water and it helps with the spreadability, and it's easier to actually get all over the face without, using as much product. So it actually helps you make your product last longer as well by adding some of the water.
I did not know that. All righty. Mm-hmm.
And then also the water is going on, so it's actually going into the skin. So that's actually another benefit.
And I put it on at night, and I leave it on all night. Is that it?
You leave it on all night. Actually, after you apply it, you'll feel your face drying up, from the moisture, and tightening, tingling. Go to sleep, wake up, and look in the mirror. It's quite amazing. Nerium also came out with a day cream for users who do want something to use in the day. It has the patented NAE8 formula, just not as potent as the night treatment. So the day cream is basically for people who do want, moisturizing during the day. It does have some powerful moisturizers, and it fulfills the need of needing an eye cream, a moisturizer, a lip cream, anything else that somebody might want to apply to their face. Night cream, one product. Day, one product.
And are you allowed to say this on TV? What about things like little brown age spots? Can you do anything for that? Are you allowed? Maybe you're not. I don't know.
Well,
really.
I will just say from my experience, how's that?
That's fair, yes.
Just to let you know, I've been in the skincare industry for 40 years. So
really?
I've been licensed a long time. And
in what capacity?
I'm a cosmetologist in a couple states, a master trainer, and a cosmetology teacher.
Okay, so then you know the subject. Okay, great.
Oh, yes. So 40 years. I actually went to beauty school when I was 16 with a goal to have young-looking skin when I'm old. Okay. I really never wanted to be a cosmetologist. I just wanted to know. So my search has been going on for 40 years. And one of my big problems was the sunspots. I did have third-degree burns on my face at one time, and I have severe, let's say, spots that would even crust up. I would go to the dermatologist and get liquid nitrogen, freeze them off. I've tried everything. They come back. Since I've been using Nerium, they're lighter. I do not have any makeup on. I have nothing covering my spots.
Oh, really?
The crustiness that you get with some of the age spots or sunspots is gone. I used to scrape them with a razor just to get the dead skin off. So with my experience, I've noticed a tremendous lightening of my spots. And I'm actually doing a lot of experiments myself.
May I ask you over how long a period of time?
Well, I have just been with Nerium a couple weeks.
Alrighty.
And I have experimented on a lot of people and already finding results. But I do have a special case of sun damage that I'm working on. And within 3 days, I can see a difference.
Okay, that's good.
So it's pretty
First-person experience
remarkable.
is very allowable, in my opinion.
Right.
Good for you. Good for you.
Right. And actually, what's quite interesting is I searched all these 40 years for a skincare product. I've studied with dermatologists, doctors of every kind, did the whole health route, where I only use natural products. But it came to a point where I look in the mirror and I just didn't like what I saw. And it was the fine lines, the sagging, and of course my spots. Mm-hmm. And I swore I would just never use another skincare product again because I've already been there, spent so much money, gone to all the shows. I actually was cosmetologist in Malibu. I got a job from Chicago to start the skincare department. So I had almost every single skincare company come out to me and practically beg me to use their product. I never did. And yet I still did great facials. So I pretty much was to the point where, I'm done with this skincare industry. And then I have a friend who actually tracked me down. We used to work together in the salon and said, just try it. I didn't think anything else. I just said, okay, I'll try it.
Right.
And in 1 week, I'm back to using a skincare product. And it's only because it works. I saw results. Right. I'm not one to put creams on my face. I never have. And I have no problem. I don't feel that cream, greasy, heavy, clogging feeling that most creams or lotions actually do to you. So I, in 1 week, am using a day cream and the night treatment, and I will never stop. I've seen results, and I'm looking forward to my 30 to 90-day results. I can't wait to look better.
Yeah, that sounds very good. And where can I buy the Nerium? I see we have the AD and the we have a night cream and a day cream. Where can I buy these?
Okay, the night cream is actually it's Nerium AD because it's Nerium Age Defying Night Treatment.
I see.
And then the day cream is a cosmetic day cream. You can purchase through my website, which is facehappy.nerium.com, and you just put that up in the top browser, not in your Google search. And all information is there. My contact is there if you have any questions, and you can purchase right through the website. There's a couple different ways of purchasing, and one of the most fantastic things about this is me being in the industry and with the skincare companies, I was never given any free product.
Huh.
I was never given any incentive.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I was never given a commission. So with Nerium, even if it's not something that you want to sell or become part of the team, you can still be a user. And all you need to do is tell 3 people who then use Nerium. They sign up the same way you did, and you'll get your bottle for free. And till the end of March, there's actually a deal going on where you purchase the day and night, and you get the 3 people, and they purchase. You will receive the day and night for free.
Now, that all sounds good. Give me your contact information once again, please.
My information is facehappy, one word, facehappy.nerium.com.
Well, good. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
It was fun. Thank you.
Appreciate
It's
it.
nice to hear about, fresh, new thinking. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's happy.
Thank you very much. You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org. Hello world, I love you and I love me. Real talk straight from the heart brain. It's Madam Mibrations here, founder of Mibrations, sharing the Love Your Skin body butter, also known as a booty butter. Mibrations creates with the highest vibrational energy on this planet Earth, which is love. So please support yourself, the world, and lupus community by purchasing any Mibrations healthy and living products. I also make vegan therapeutic living candles.
You can find my products in the Bee Lounge located at 4873 Topanga Canyon Boulevard, Woodland Hills, California 91364, and at the Ink Rich Tattoo and Piercing located at 7211 Van Nuys Boulevard, Van Nuys, California 91405. Thank you for the highest good of all. I love you and I love me.
Ruth Freckman, registered dietitian.
Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about wellness as it relates to a registered dietitian nutritionist. And I am very excited to introduce you to Caroline Kaufman. She is a dynamic and inspiring registered dietitian nutritionist. Welcome to the show, Caroline.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Great. I'm glad you're here. So tell us a little bit, let's start with a little bit about your background. Where did you go to school? What's your education?
I have a degree in English from Harvard, and I worked for 2 years as in corporate marketing at a consulting firm. And while I was there, I loved the experience, but knew that it was not my calling. I didn't feel particularly fulfilled being there. And so I spent a lot of time thinking about what was right for me, and I ended up getting a master's degree in nutrition communication from Tufts in Boston and became a registered dietitian, and I've been working in private practice ever since.
Very impressive. Thanks. I know that you recently moved to Los Angeles. Where were you before?
Well, I'm from Boston originally. Go Sox, go Pats, Bruins. I don't know if I missed anyone else. And I've also lived in New York and Charlottesville, Virginia, and San Francisco.
Oh, well, welcome to Los Angeles.
Thank you. I love it here.
We're very lucky to have you. Are you working in private practice now in Los Angeles?
Yes. So I counsel clients, and then I also do a lot of freelance writing, and I have my own blog. So it's really a combination career where I get to do a lot of research and talk to people for my writing, and then I also get to counsel clients one-on-one.
Very good. Do you specialize in anything particular?
Well, what got me interested in nutrition in the first place was really my passion for children and pediatric nutrition and wellness, and advocating for children and helping parents raise healthy eaters. So during my dietetic internship, I focused a lot on pediatric nutrition. One of my big inspirations that got me into nutrition was actually Mr. Rogers.
Really? Mr. Rogers?
Yes, cool. Mr. Rogers. I was a fan of the show, but you can probably spend hours analyzing this. I only liked it when he was in the real world, and as soon as he went around to the puppet world, I lost complete interest. I really liked learning how the mail system worked more than watching the puppets. But he was a brilliant educator, and he found that the best way to reach children was through media and entertainment and making it fun. And that's really what brought me into nutrition, was being able to reach children and parents through communication and making nutrition fun and easy and accessible.
Very interesting. And there's a lot to wellness. You know, not only is it mental and physical and emotional, but it's also spiritual and financial and social. So there's many aspects to wellness. What do you think wellness is to you? How does it relate to you as a registered dietitian nutritionist?
Well, I think you're exactly right that wellness is really a combination. It's really mind and body and spirit. And to me, wellness is feeling good in your body, having energy for the day, feeling like you are capable of living a healthy life and all the steps that are required to do that, and that they come eventually naturally to you. But really eating foods that fight disease, promote optimal health, and not having your self-worth tied to a number on the scale.
I know as a nutritionist myself, I always think food first. And there's really a lot you can do with nutrition to be healthy. I know that in order to have physical wellness, you need mental wellness. So really all these components work together. But let's talk about kids, since that's your passion. Are there any specific problems that you've run across when you're counseling your clients?
Absolutely. I would say one of the most common concerns I hear from parents is that their child is a picky eater, or that dinner time has become a battlefield, for lack of a better word. Another common concern would be that they're afraid of their child being overweight, or that their child is overweight, and a lot of schools now are reporting those numbers back to parents, and that can certainly be alarming. So those are probably the two major concerns.
Well, let's get specific about picky eaters. I know I have a private practice in Burbank and that's a common concern with parents, that their child is a picky eater. A lot of times they don't like vegetables, they don't like fruits, you name it. There's always something that they may or may not like. So how do you deal with a picky eater?
I would say the first thing to do is, if possible, relax as a parent. Step back, take a breath, relax, and rethink what Ellen Satter brilliantly calls the division of responsibility.
And Ellen Satter is another registered dietitian.
Yes, and an author who's written multiple books. I would recommend reading her books. So she came up with this theory called the division of responsibility, where you are not responsible for your child's eating in its entirety. It takes a lot of the burden off of parents, and it also takes a lot of the stress off of children who may be being pushed into eating food or coerced, or they feel uncomfortable, and we can talk about that in a minute. But the division of responsibility is that the parent is responsible for the what, so what you're presenting to your child to eat, the when, and that means having scheduled meals and snacks for kids, and the where, and that preferably is sitting down and eating. And the child's responsible for what they eat from what is presented and how much. And stepping back and reconsidering what roles you're taking in your child's feeding, and then maybe doing a little bit less actually instead of more, can actually completely interrupt the negative cycle of feeding and those dinner time battles.
I know I tell my clients, you don't have to love every fruit or vegetable. There's a huge variety of all different things. And I'm probably the picky eater in my family. I have two grown sons now, but when they were younger, they would eat smoked mussels. It's like, okay, not for me. I really never had a problem with them. They really ate everything. But it can be a problem, and it's not just with kids, adults can also be picky eaters. Mm-hmm. Is there any specific tips for any particular foods and how to get started?
Sure. So the best way to get started is to start when you're younger. So in terms of parents presenting foods to their kids, it can take up to 20 times for kids to appreciate a food. And that's 20 times showing a food without having an opinion about the food. So showing them the food, presenting it, having it on the table, not saying anything about it, not asking them to eat it, not asking them to try it, not asking them how they feel about it, just putting it out there. And it can take 20 times for them to even give it a try. So for adults, I would suggest that you pick, one of the things I would suggest is that you pick a new food, a new plant-based food, a fruit, vegetable, whole grain, beans, legumes, something that you've never really tried before, you've been apprehensive about. Bring it home and really try to incorporate it into your meals during the week. And much like I would suggest a parent do with a child, try preparing it in different ways. Steamed carrots, broiled carrots, boiled carrots, chopped carrots, carrot sticks and peanut butter, in Greek yogurt, in a sandwich. They all taste entirely different. So just because you may have grown up eating soggy boiled carrots that your mother made for you doesn't mean that you don't like carrots. Mm-hmm. So giving them a chance.
Yeah, you can prepare carrots so that the sweetness really comes out, and it's almost like eating candy.
Absolutely.
So just because you don't like it prepared in one way, that doesn't mean that you're not going to like it prepared another way. Mm-hmm. And really going back to the wellness, it's important to get that variety of fruits and vegetables because, there's many different nutrients in every fruit and vegetable. So you don't just want to eat broccoli, you don't just want to eat apples. You really want to get the variety. So it doesn't hurt to broaden your horizons a little bit and try a new fruit or vegetable.
Absolutely. And you can make it easier for yourself, too, by preparing fruits and vegetables in advance. One of the things that I do to get myself to eat more greens is I buy those bags of pre-washed, prepped greens. You don't even have to wash them and dry them, and you just open the bag and throw them in everything. Sometimes I buy the kale, and instead of, if I'm making a tuna sandwich, I'll throw in kale instead of lettuce to add to my tuna sandwich, or I'll saute it with eggs, or I'll put it in a soup. And once it's pre-washed and in the front of your fridge, you're much more likely to use it.
Kale is a very trendy food these days.
Yes.
I've just discovered it myself. I've started putting it in smoothies, but also I love kale chips. I have the most delicious recipe for kale chips, and it's so easy to make.
Right.
And it's surprisingly delicious. So if it's almost crispy like a potato chip, but you're really getting a lot of those really important nutrients. Do you like kale?
I do like kale, although I think the even cooler vegetable is cauliflower right now. So we should really be trying to figure out ways to get people to eat more cauliflower, I think, to be on trend.
That's right. I heard that, yes. Cauliflower is one of the new trending vegetable. Yes. I do have a favorite recipe for cauliflower also. A lot of people mush it up like potatoes. They make it like into a mashed potato. But really, one of my all-time favorite foods is to chop up the cauliflower in small pieces and then coat it with a little bit of olive oil and then coat it with curry and then bake it. That could be my whole meal. You've got the healthy nutrients, the phytonutrients in the curry, and then you've got all the vitamins and fiber and minerals in the cauliflower, and the flavors together just mingle, and it's just so delicious.
Oh, that sounds very good.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you have that up on a website somewhere.
I will. I'll put it on my blog too. So, okay, we've got kale and cauliflower covered. Any other suggestions that you have for parents or busy parents that that they're on the go? Everyone's busy, everyone's stressed. Mm-hmm. What do you do about stress eating?
Oh, so talking about emotional eating a little bit. Yeah, so stress is just one of the many emotions that people may turn to food for. There's stress, you may feel sad, you may feel happy, uncomfortable, they're anxious. There are so many reasons that people turn to food. And once again, the reason I'm interested in childhood nutrition, a lot of these are coming from your relationship with food when you're young. So, but now here we are and we're kind of wrapped up in it. We maybe not even realize why we're eating. So that's really where the first step begins, is determining why you're eating and being more aware of those emotions. So are you keeping a food log, first of all, and writing down all the times that you're eating, and writing down, are you hungry? Are you anxious? Are you sad? And starting to learn for yourself what those triggers are for eating, and trying to separate them from eating for fuel, for instance. And then if you start discovering that maybe you always eat when you are lonely. Maybe you come home from work and you feel lonely and you turn to food for that companionship. Well, food is not a companion, and it's really never going to satisfy that need. So you could potentially come up with a list of things that do make you feel less lonely, and you could put it on your refrigerator, and that could be something like calling a friend or taking a walk with your dog. Maybe adopting a pet is actually something that would be nice for you because it gets you out some exercise and walking the dog and some companionship. You could meet friends at the dog park. So there are other things, and this is completely on an individual basis, that make you feel less lonely. Mm-hmm. And then if you put that up on your refrigerator, every time that you turn to food, you can think, I'm not hungry right now. I don't need fuel. I need something else, and then turn to that.
I like the tip that you gave, putting putting it right on the refrigerator, because so oftentimes you forget. Mm-hmm. And you just automatically go to that cookie or that fudge or whatever, and you forget that there's other things that you could be doing. So it's very visual to have it right there as a constant reminder. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So emotional eating is really big. I think, as a dietitian in private practice myself, most of my clients have extra weight, and I find that most people eat because of their emotions. And years ago, it used to be because they were bored, and now I find that they eat because they're stressed. Mm-hmm. It's a stressful world, just the traffic, getting to work, and then co-workers, all these things can add up, and food does become such a comfort, an escape, even a reward. So are there any foods that you suggest that maybe you want to eat instead of reaching for the high-calorie foods?
Sure, and part of that depends on what you're craving. So if you're someone who craves salty food and crunch, like craving potato chips, then maybe having pickles handy, or cucumbers, so you can put a little salt on a cucumber, for instance, or carrot sticks, something that's crunchy, versus someone who really craves sweet food, and maybe that's yogurt, with plain Greek yogurt with a little honey and fresh berries on top.
Excellent ideas. Carolyn, we're almost out of time.
Okay.
Oh, we're going to take a break. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
Thanks.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Deborah Darris
and Jules Hurst,
inviting you to join us
every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific
as we share practical tools
to create a life you love from the inside out.
So remember to tune into
Inside Out, How to Create a Life You Love
on Mondays
at 1 p.m. Pacific,
exclusively on
latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on
iTunes Radio, R&B,
Radio Flag,
TuneIn Radio,
Live 365,
AHA Radio,
TiVo Radio,
and Apple TV Radio.
Or just watch and listen directly
at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted
for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live.
And we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Welcome back to the show. We have Caroline Kaufman, registered dietitian nutritionist, joining us today. Welcome back again, Carolyn.
Thank you very much.
So, another topic of conversation is being a vegetarian. It's very popular these days. Are you personally vegetarian, or?
I am not. There are times I have cycled through being more of a flexitarian, so I tend to eat more vegetable or more plant-based protein than meat, but I'm back in the very balanced cycle right now.
Mm-hmm. Balance and variety and moderation is always good. But for people who are vegetarian or maybe want to start eating less meat, chicken, or fish, do you have any plant-based protein ideas for people?
Sure. So one of the things that I think is great is to just make sure that plant-based proteins are readily available at home, because there are healthy ways to be a vegetarian and there are unhealthy ways to be a vegetarian. So
true.
You could eat pizza and same thing with gluten-free. There are so many packaged foods out there for people who are gluten-free right now that it can actually be not so great for your health if you're relying on very heavily processed foods. So in terms of a vegetarian diet, I would certainly suggest looking for those fresh, whole foods. They don't have to be fresh as in the refrigerated section, but you could be getting frozen or dried fruits and vegetables, and a lot of easy to work in plant-based proteins.
Mm-hmm. I know quinoa is a popular protein. It's a complete protein. Tofu is another protein that maybe people want to try. Do you have any special recipes for tofu or quinoa?
Well, with tofu, I tend to just like to substitute it for meat in different recipes. So there is a wonderful spicy tomato stew from the Middle East called shakshuka, and it's something that you could just add with. It has eggs as well as the tomato, and you could just add tofu to something like that where it would give it a lot of flavor, because tofu, some people don't like it because they think it doesn't have a lot of taste, so you just need to add it to something with more flavor. So that's something you could add it to a Mediterranean sandwich that has piled high with vegetables and hummus and maybe some pesto, and then you can slice tofu very thinly and put it in that sandwich. So those are some of my favorite ways to use it.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any ideas for quinoa? I know since it is a whole grain, and it's a complete protein. That'd be a very healthy choice.
Well, a lot of people use quinoa for breakfast cereal instead of traditional oatmeal or another kind of hot cereal. They use hot quinoa, so that's one way to go about it. I put it in salads. I'll just eat cold and I throw it in salads. So that's one of my favorite ways.
It's so quick to make too. It's not like it's not like you're taking a long time to prepare it.
No, I actually have some frozen quinoa in my freezer. I buy it at Trader Joe's. You can obviously also cook it and freeze it yourself. But
you buy it already prepared?
I do. I buy it already prepared in the freezer section. And then
it comes already made frozen.
Mm-hmm. So it's really easy.
So what do you thaw it and then add it to a salad?
Just put it in the microwave.
Oh.
And reheat it like you would with
salad.
Yeah, they make frozen rice and frozen quinoa, yeah.
Oh, good to know.
I really like those quick things.
Right, and quick is important these days too. That's the problem. Many people go to restaurants or pick up fast food because they don't have time to go home and cook. They're tired from working and they just want something quick.
Mm-hmm.
So if you prepared meals in advance and had these good ideas, you'd probably be eating healthier, which would contribute to your wellness.
Absolutely. So yeah, like batch cooking on the weekends, for instance, you could batch cook, especially if you have a slow cooker. So that means that you can be cooking and out all day over the weekend. You could do dried beans, which is so economical, especially if you're a vegetarian and you're eating a lot of beans.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the cheapest foods in the market.
And it's a good source of protein and very good source of fiber.
Absolutely. And you could do that with oatmeal. You can batch cook, or you could even just cook meals for the week. You could do, I do these canning jar salads where I take quart-sized ball jars and I layer a salad inside of it. And if you do 5 of those on Sunday, they actually stay crispy through Friday. It's amazing.
What do you put in the salads?
Well, so it's also... I'm going to give you an example of the layering technique and what I put in.
Caroline's layering technique.
This is a very important part of the canning jar salad. So the layering technique is the dressing on the bottom, and then you put a hearty vegetable like cauliflower, very trendy cauliflower. Raw.
Okay.
Sure, I do it raw, but you can have it cooked. Broccoli, or you could put grains. You could put whole grain pasta, or you could put your quinoa, which I've done before, rainbow quinoa. It's very pretty. Having food that looks appealing makes you want to eat it more. This works for adults and kids. So I put maybe a rainbow quinoa, something lovely, on the bottom, and then you can put the lighter vegetables like chopped cucumber, very thinly sliced fennel is wonderful, chopped tomato. Then you put the lettuce. So the lettuce stays as far as possible from the dressing, which gets it soggy. So this way it helps it stay crisp. And then on top, I like to put little treats, what I call treats. So that would be chopped cheese or walnuts or almonds. And you could even put edible flowers on top if you really want to make something really nice for yourself.
Wow.
And then you tighten the lid. So you don't need to seal it, airlock it. But the jars just naturally have such a wonderful seal that when you undo it on Friday, you even hear the little pop sound, and they're still good. So you could just take that to work with you every morning, grab the jar and some extra protein like a can of tuna fish, some cooked chicken, hard-boiled egg, whatever floats your boat. You can either shake it up and eat it straight from the jar, or what I like to do is I pour it into a bowl and then add the protein on top. And it takes you no time in the morning.
It really sounds like a beautiful rainbow of colors.
It is.
Very inviting.
I have that on my blog if you'd like to see any. I have 3 sample recipes on my blog and a picture of the layering technique.
Wow, that sounds great. So you actually could shake it?
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
And then eat right from the jar. Well, that's that's really an example of fast food.
Yes, it's what I like to call quick prep, slow snacking. It's part of, a perfect example of quick prep, slow snacking. This is great for parents too, because their kids come home from school, for example, and they are starving, and sometimes they're angry because they're hangry, if you will, hungry, angry. And you need
they're done that.
You need to calm them down fast. So having these kind of quick prep, slow snacks on hand, like clementine, for instance, that you can just grab from the fridge, but it does take them time to eat because they have to peel it, or pistachios that they have to break depending on what age they are. You could help them, or they could do it on their own. But slowing down the eating process will help you eat less food and still be full and satisfied, because it takes about 20 minutes for your brain and your stomach to say, hey, had enough. Thank you. I don't need any more. And sometimes we eat so fast that we end up eating more than we really needed to.
Especially if we're stressed, in a hurry, we're going to eat fast.
Exactly.
Eat twice as much as we need.
Exactly. So even this jar salad where you're taking the time to shake it up, you're sitting there at lunch eating something beautiful that you prepared for yourself. Maybe it has edible flowers on it, and enjoying where it came from, and that you respected yourself enough to prepare this and enjoy it and eat it slowly.
So it's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
Mm-hmm. It's low in calories, very healthy, very quick,
very super quick.
What do you feel about going to the grocery store? Do you love it, hate it?
I love it. I love it so much. Do you love it? I'm curious if it's a dietitian thing.
Yeah, I can take it or leave it.
Okay. It's not a dietitian thing then. I love it. I love looking for new products. First of all, I just think it's fun to see what's out there, what's being innovated. But I am just a curious label reader. I think I'm finding scams, like they're pulling one over on me, and I really want to look at the label and see if it's as healthy as the marketing says it is. I feel like a detective.
So you think that reading labels is important?
It is probably the most important thing you're going to do at the grocery store, other than buying fresh fruits and vegetables, which don't have labels and don't need them. But if you're buying packaged food that's been processed and has a label of some sort, then 100% that's the most important
Is there something that you look for when you're reading the label?
There are a few things I look for. When I'm buying anything that's grain-based, before I look at anything else, calories, fat, I look at fiber. And if that product doesn't have at least 3 grams of fiber on it, then I put it back on the shelf, because it doesn't have enough whole grains for it to be worthwhile for me. It's not going to help me feel satisfied. It's not going to give me the antioxidants and phytonutrients that help fight disease. It's not going to help maintain my blood sugar. All of the things that I want a whole grain to do, it's going to fail on all counts.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay. So fiber is right up there.
I'm very feisty about fiber.
Anything else?
Yes. So fiber, sugar. So right now, they don't break out added sugar and natural sugar on the nutrition facts label. That's hopefully something that will happen, as they are now in the process of revising the nutrition facts panel. But right now they don't. So because natural sugar comes in healthy foods for us, like fruits and vegetables and whole grains and dairy, even plain yogurt actually has a fair amount of this natural sugar in it. And it can look a little frightening if you're looking at a label. It has something like 13 grams of sugar on it. But if it's unsweetened, it's natural sugar. And I wouldn't advocate that someone stay away from something with natural sugar in it. But then they have all these other crazy words for sugar, like honey and sucrose and fructose and fruit juice concentrate and, oh my gosh, I don't even know, organic sweeteners and natural sweeteners, and that can be very tricky just to know what's actually in your product. So I look at the ingredients list, and I see if sugar is listed as the first or second ingredient. And if there's an added sugar as the first or second ingredient, then I also don't buy it, because that helps me determine how much sugar is in it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Also, these are all such great tips, Caroline. How can we reach you?
So I have a website and blog at carolinekaufman.com. CarolinE, KAU, F as in Frank, man, MAN.com. And that's where everything about me lives.
Okay. And you said that you also had a blog?
Yes, you can get to my blog from that website.
Excellent.
One-stop shopping.
Well, I'm very impressed at all your expertise, and I really enjoyed chatting with you today. I learned something, and I can't wait to try the salad in the jar.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to thank you for being a guest on the show, and look forward to chatting again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, this is Richard Carr, Business Relations Manager for LA Talk Live. Did you know social media produces almost double the marketing leads of trade shows, telemarketing, direct mail, or even pay-per-click ads? and that about 46% of all online users count on social media when making that ever important purchase decision. Hey, if you feel lost when it comes to social media, Top Tier Media can help you. Top Tier Media specializes in social media management and blogger outreach for beauty, fashion, health, and lifestyle brands. To learn more, go to www.toptiermedia.com. That's www.toptiermedia.com. Top Tier Media, the official social media marketing company of LA Talk Live and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, letterheads, church bulletins, funeral programs, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guest is M.F. Fogel, a practicing attorney who is a former judge pro tem here in California and who is branching out and writing books and writing about our moral compass. Ms. Fogel, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you, and thank you for offering me an opportunity to speak on your show.
No, it's my pleasure. And so for my guests, my listeners who are hearing the broadcast, what is a judge pro tem?
Well, a judge pro tem, which I did former, is a temporary judge that sits on the bench when is needed, when the regular judge is or commissioner is not able to be present. So they have a list of names downtown. They have a list of names of people that they can call that will go into different departments throughout the city and county of LA to be what is called judge pro tem. And it's a great way for credentialed attorneys that are well respected and with great ethics in the community to sit on the bench and help out and adjudicate matters for citizens.
And where did you go to? Where did you go to law school?
I went to law school at Southwestern, where my colleague and a good friend of mine, Brian Panish, who represents the Jackson estate.
Oh, I see.
and I still have a lot of friends way back then from that time, and in fact, I was one of the few guests invited to congratulate Mr. Panish when he received an honorary doctorate in May of 2011 with the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court. And he was very kind when he was thanking his family to also thank me in front of 1,000 people and also in front of the Supreme Court Justice. So I go way back with a lot of people, and right now I am holding my shingle at bay to transition to become the Pied Piper for the females, or as some people will also say, the Pied Piper of parenting, to teach people about the rights and the wrongs of parenting, and also to be a voice for the females. My campaign branding will be to empower the females and humor the males. And in fact,
it's a cute logo.
Thank you. In fact, it's all coming under the big auspice of my new LLC, Your Moral Compass Counts. And there is a directional in the O in the word compass. And this website that is being refreshed right now, and I will provide an email address so people can get a hold of me if they wish. This website will include quotes regarding the moral compass. It will give both genders hope on what behavior to do, what not to do. It will inspire them. And also I will have a page, because I also have in the trademark office the 1L Michelle. It will also have a page that says join the 1L Michelle Club. In addition, I'll have a page for t-shirts, because I have a lot of very clever, as I've been told, very clever and iconic logos in the trademark office that I'm going to put on my website so that people can actually wear some of these clever phrases and thoughts on their
All right,
on
so
themselves.
as this is a wellness show, we do wellness, and wellness is emotional wellness. Why don't you tell my listening audience an idea that you think is very important, how males and females can, I guess, get along. So let me have a couple, like one or two things you think, this is important, please focus on this.
I'll give you a couple bullet points.
Yes.
Number one, both genders have to learn how to respect each other. But more importantly, they have to know what their brain can tolerate and what their brain can't. So, for example, I step back and I look to see the gender. When there is an issue on the radio, the TV, or the newspaper, I look to see what the gender is. I don't lump the both genders together as a person. I separate them. I look at which gender is responsible. And that's been an eye-opener for my compilation of research that I've done for the last 20 years. That has been a huge eye-opener. So because of that, I'm going to, in one of my books, I have 3 that I'm writing, and in the first one, I'm going to actually give a heads up to the females about what to do, what not to do, and for them to think with their brain and not with their heart. Meaning, I don't want them to get so, I want them to minimize the emotions. I want them to minimize the immediate attraction with the face. And I want them to deal with exploring that potential date
give me an example.
with their
Give me an
background.
example. Give me an example.
I want them to look at their potential dates, background, how they were raised. How did the parents raise that person? How did they speak to them? How did they get along? How did they treat each other? How did the parents treat the child that now is grown up to be presumably adult age?
That all seems very important. But wouldn't that be unfolding, or as you would date someone, how would you know right away?
That's a great question, and that's why I'm going to try. What I'm going to do is not try. I'm going to go for the jugular on that. I'm going to make sure that at least my message is for the females to pick the right males initially. Right. And if they feel.
But how many 16 or 17, 18 or 19-year-old girls will know this?
Well, in that case, I'm going to ask them to focus on the education. I'm going to deal with each age group somewhat differently, because you can't lump everyone together in one category. So the teens are going to get a message from me. Basically, don't focus on the males. Focus on you and education and your self-identity and your own personal growth, because the brain doesn't form until at least 25 or 26 with the rational thinking in the prefrontal cortex.
Right.
And so people have to know not to rush into marriage, not to rush into thinking they need to be with someone of the opposite sex. That's not going to make or break that person. What's going to make or break that person is they first learn about themselves, their self-identity, their self-worth, their self-esteem. So then when they become more wiser, as they get older and start learning about life, learning about them, learning what they like, what they don't like, then they can make a more objective, analytical, and rational choice on who they're going to hook up with. Because I am tired of reading articles about the rapes and the violence and the domestic abuse. And basically, in those cases, the males have flipped a switch. There's something in their brain because of their background and because of other related issues, they launch and do behavior that's not acceptable, whether it's to another male or especially to a female.
Sure.
There's so many other things I could go into, and that's what's so exciting, because there has been so many people that have been telling me, Michelle, or the 1L Michelle, when are you going to get your book out? And I'm telling them I'm moving as fast as I possibly can, because I happen to write, and I'm usually a bit shy to say this, but I'm going to take this opportunity to say I write in such a provoking way that even Dr. Oz called me 2 weeks after he got my letter when I hand delivered it to his assistant at the hospital where he works. He called me 2 weeks later, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Thank you for your kind and well-written letter." And then he gave me something that he wants me to include on my website. So I have a lot of people like that behind me that are supporting me, that can't wait until my website gets up or gets refreshed for me to deliver that message. And on one of the pages beside the T-shirts, I have a bunch of quotes that will inspire people and give them hope, and see how often the word and the terminology moral compass is actually said by a lot of different people. Judge Judy happens to say it a lot on her show on CBS, tremendous amounts of time. But I actually thought about this years ago, and I actually had came up with the logo, which is now in the trademark office. So we're rattling and rolling here.
Well, that's very good. That's very good. And so, obviously, moral compass. So what's the definition of what's moral compass? So some of my viewers know what you mean by moral compass.
I want people to take personal responsibility for their behavior. I'm asking for people to have an open mind and to have their brain challenged, because it all starts with the brain. It's when you look at a person, or when you look at their behavior, or when you hear about their behavior on the news, the radio, or the TV, it's basically their behavior. That's the end-all, be-all. Right. And so I am trying to get people to step back. And in this case, for the females, I want them to stand up and speak out, different than than Sheryl Sandberg, which is the leaning in, which I feel that females really, I feel like it's not a very, very accurate visual message, because if you lean in too much, you'll fall on your face. And I'm the one that's going to be the Pied Piper for the females, saying stand up and speak out. But this comes back to the moral compass that I need people to take. I'm asking that people take responsibility for their behavior and how they talk, how they treat other people. And Maya Angelou has an exceptional quote that I actually have that I'm going to include on the refreshing part of my website, and that is, she says, "I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel."
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it seems true, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and it's I get nice compliments from even way back in high school, not elementary school, but high school, of when they remembered how I spoke to them and how I treated them and how I basically took their needs and got under their skin to make sure that I communicated well and effectively with them.
Well, Michelle Fogel, I wish you good luck on your endeavors with the books. Give us your contact information, please.
Okay, I'm going to hold off right now on the website because that's being refreshed, but I'm going to say this email address slowly,
Certainly.
and I'll say it twice. And so if someone's interested in reaching out and contacting me, or even perhaps being a sponsor, here it is. It's your, Y-O-U-R, and then moral, M-O-R-A-L, compass, C-O-M-P-A-S-S, counts, C-O-U-N-T-S, at gmail.com. It's just a temporary email, but it'll do the trick. And one last time, your moral compass counts at gmail.com, because everyone's moral compass does count.
It does. Well, Michelle Fogel, thank you very much for being a guest today. Thank you very much.
And thank you for offering me this opportunity.
You have been listening to Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Hey, this is Richard Carr, General Manager for LA Talk Live, and I wanted to take a moment out to tell you about one of my favorite places, and that place is your place. And this could be your ad running on LA Talk Live 24 hours a day. Find out how affordable it is to advertise on one of the fastest growing global mediums in the world, and that's internet radio. Contact us at LA Talk Live by emailing us at talktous@latalklive.com. That's talk, T-O-U-S, at latalklive.com. Let us show you how internet radio can help you reach a global audience of millions of listeners right in your own backyard. Visit our website and tune in at www.latalklive.com. That's www.latalklive.com, or catch us on iTunes Radio in the soul R&B genre. We are latalklive.com, and we're more than just talk.
Hi, this is Deborah Darris
and Jules Hurst,
inviting you to join us
every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific
as we share practical tools
to create a life you love from the inside out.
So remember to tune into
Inside Out, How to Create a Life You Love
on Mondays
at 1 p.m. Pacific,
exclusively on
latalklive.com.
You can also catch us on
iTunes Radio, R&B,
Radio Flag,
TuneIn Radio,
Live 365,
AHA Radio,
TiVo Radio,
and Apple TV Radio.
Or just watch and listen directly
at latalklive.com. Reality radio handcrafted
for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is LA Talk Live.
And we are more than just talk.
Hey, this is James Kinney, inviting you to join me every Thursday at noon for the Business of Business. Join us as we discuss success and how to reach it. Listen, don't forget to join me every Thursday at noon Pacific Standard Time for the Business of Business, exclusively here on LA Talk Live. Hey, and don't forget, you can also catch me on iTunes Radio R&B, Radio Flag, TuneIn Radio, Live 365, AHA Radio, TiVo Radio, and Apple TV Radio. Or just watch and listen directly at latalklive.com, where we are more than just talk. Murked it.
Hello, I'm Joel Ramirez.
And I'm Lolita Robinson Coppage, and welcome to Joy in My House
on LATalkLive.com. Inspirational radio
with a touch of recovery.
A reality show where nothing is left unsaid.
And no one is insignificant who says it.
Exclusively on LATalkLive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV.
reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guest is a ranked tennis player whose husband, Dashiell Mashaka, has been on the show. He's an internationally known architect. Paulette is a now retired educator here in California who has a number of firsts. She actually broke the color line working for the police department in San Luis Obispo, which goes to show you that, things do change. Paulette, welcome to Here's to Your Health.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. And so in this show, this is a wellness show, and you're a ranked tennis player.
Yes.
And you're over 60. Can I say that on the air?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
very good.
Uh-huh.
And so what do you credit with the fact that you have the vitality and interest to not only play tennis, but to play tennis well?
Well, first of all, I developed the love of tennis when I saw Billie Jean King and Bobby Riggs play in that spectacle. It was just amazing. That, And that is sort of like how I had my interest in tennis, And then at the time, we were living in Springfield, Illinois. Although I'm a native Los Angelino, we were living in little town, Springfield, Illinois. I go to the club there, and the young lady who was the pro there who teaches me is an NCAA doubles champ from Cal State LA who played with Billie Jean King. She says, Paulette, you're such an incredible athlete. If you really train hard, I think you can make it on the futures. That's sort of like the minor league of the women's pro tennis. So she actually taught me how to play. We drilled and everything. And I was, 2 years trained in Illinois. We moved to Houston, Texas, played 2 years, and I just know, my goal was to make it on the pro tour. And then I have an epiphany. I play Zena Garrison, who at the time was the number 1 ranked junior in the 16s. She beat me so badly. I went home, told my husband, you know what? There is no way in the world I'm going to be a pro. I'm too old. I started playing too late. I'm going on to another career. But I had that love of tennis, and it was been with me all my life. My son played in college, and as I've retired, and while I was teaching, I wasn't really playing a lot of competitive tennis, but I always played, occasionally and what have you. And now that I'm retired, I had the opportunity to play every day. And I also play the 60 Nationals. They have a Nationals every year in the hard courts in La Jolla. I've played the grass courts, which is in Palm Springs. Just fantastic. They actually have a tour that goes all over the country, and then you play the top countries internationally. But I'm not at that level. That would be a goal of mine, but I'm not at that level.
Who was the tennis pro who beat the tar out of you?
Oh, Zena Garrison.
No, so do you practice when you were studying to be a great tennis player? Did you practice 3 or 4 hours a day, and she practiced 10 hours a day? Is that why she was better?
No, she was better because she was a young junior player.
How old was she at the time?
And actually, I was in my 30s, because I started playing.
See. Right.
See, I started playing. I was a 28-year-old housewife with 2 children.
Right.
And I'm thinking I'm going to be a tennis pro. Very naive at the time, but I had such a love for the sport. My enthusiasm really carried me those first 4 years, and I'm really thankful for that because I actually learned my strokes properly. I learned how to play so that I don't get injured. There's a reason why you hit the ball a certain way and what have you. And it's
I didn't know that. I don't know.
Yes. It's health purposes and what have you. And so I've never had tennis elbow or anything like that because my backhand is really like my best stroke because you use your shoulder as a pivotal point. Most people use their elbow, which causes them to develop tennis elbow, But yes, but I just developed a love for the sport, and I even as a teacher, when I taught fourth grade, I taught tennis to some of my fourth graders, and they ended up playing high school tennis and what have you. So yes, it's been very good in my life. I love it.
And would you say that exercise, in your opinion, is a major component for wellness?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something. I play in the South Bay area, and I'm in this Marine League and what have you. We've had ladies who've had breast cancer, taken chemotherapy 1 week, the next week on a tennis court playing matches.
Oh my goodness! Well, that's strong will, isn't it?
And then we're such a good support for each other. Everyone's texting and emailing and wishing them well. And I think it's mentally and physically such a great support for someone who has cancer.
Oh my goodness! Yes. Yes. As you know, Hans Kugler is a co-host on this show.
Yes.
And Hans is very knowledgeable, and I believe Hans gets credit for writing the first book on anti-aging in the United States in 1974.
Yes.
So there's a person who's very important in the wellness movement. And Hans always comments that exercise and diet are not just perks the way they were seen years ago. They were kind of dismissed. No, these are foundation items for wellness. And exercise is terribly important.
Oh, yes. I mean, to me, it's all about circulation. My mom is 89 years old.
Oh, good.
And she walks.
She plays doubles tennis?
She plays no tennis, but she loves it. She watches it all the time. And that tennis is that.
I was teasing you, actually.
We'll be going to Indian Wells next week or so to watch the pros there, But yeah, it's that circulation, like she walks every day, and that's what keeps her going, And me, I'm 65 years old. I play practically every day, and that. I just feel so good when you're on the court, you're running around and you're trying to perfect your strokes. And then it's almost like you're testing yourself all the time because you're out there practicing. Then you play your matches, and then you see if what you have practiced is working, Mm-hmm.
Have you ever beaten anyone really who's maybe,
that you guys would know about?
Yeah, anyone? Yeah.
No.
And so you were ranked, are you ranked 31st?
I'm ranked 31.
That seems very good.
Women. Yeah. But those, the thing is, I taught for the last 15 years, so I really didn't play a lot of tennis. And so I've sort of like come back to it. I retired in 2011. But these ladies, a lot of these ladies on this senior tour.
25 or 30 years in the school district?
Yeah, 25 years in the school district. But a lot of them are pros at clubs and what have you, and they've been playing continuously, the whole time since they were kids, And so, I took the sport up when I was about 28 years old, what have you. And for some reason, it's like tennis. If you learn it as a child, you could look at someone and tell if they played as a kid.
Yeah, I guess if you know the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now, as a young girl, you were in the Miss California beauty pageant.
Yes, I was. When my first year in college, I was also attending a modeling school. And so they had this beauty contest. And at the time, you didn't realize this is in the 60s. And there were never any black girls in the beauty contest. So they said, we're going to have a combined Miss Watts and Compton beauty pageant. And they're going to be participants in the Miss California pageant. So I won the Miss Watts, and I represented the Watts area.
That was
and
67,
the Miss California.
68? What year was that?
That was in 1966.
66.
Mm-hmm.
66 was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
And was it an interesting experience?
It was a very interesting experience. That was my first time ever being in a beauty pageant, whereas all the other girls, they all knew each other. They had been in beauty pageants ever since they were little girls.
Right.
It was amazing.
Right.
I'm like, a beauty pageant when you're a little girl, I was like 17 or 18 years old when this was my first experience in it.
And where was that held?
It was held in Hermosa Beach at the Hacienda Hotel with Bert Parks was the MC. Remember?
Yes, I do remember Bert Parks. And so,
of course, Miss Hollywood won.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she won. I remember that. Yeah. I was not a finalist or anything, but my parents were so proud of the fact that I was in the contest. And it was a great experience.
And you competing against other girls who are also, 17, 18-year-old girls who just...
Yeah, we were all basically the same age, all in college and what have you. Mm-hmm.
And then you went back to college, and you went to school where?
Compton College. That's where I met my husband. And after he got his AA degree in mathematics, he enrolled at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo in the architecture school. And so at the time I says, well, I'll drop out. I'll work, help put you through school. And so San Luis Obispo is a very small town, and there are not many jobs. And so I ended up being one of the first black telephone operators in San Luis Obispo.
And was that a pleasant experience?
Oh, yes. Everyone was really nice, friendly, and what have you. And do you remember the old Laughing show when Lily Tomlin was the telephone operator?
Ernestine? I think she was Ernestine. Right. That was a great bit, by the way.
It was. That was because I wore the big headphone like that, and we had those long, those plugs that you plug in here.
No kidding.
Yes.
In the mid-'60s? Oh, I did not know. Oh, my goodness.
Yes. Operator, may I help you? And the thing is, San Luis Obispo, even for someone to make just a simple call, say like from San Luis Obispo to Pismo Beach, they would have to call the operator, and you'd have to place
No
that.
kidding.
Yes,
I did not know this.
Yes,
I did not know.
Yes.
Well, I will say this. The one nice thing that I see about getting older is, you have this long memory of stuff.
Yes.
And you remember stuff when stuff was different.
Yes.
And young people think, really? That was going on? Really? Why? Well, we don't know why, but it's not going on anymore. It's better now. So
much better now.
That's the interesting thing. You have an amazing perspective how things have really changed. Not a little. No, they've changed a lot.
They have changed tremendously. Like being, I'll tell you something. Yesterday, my daughter and I saw 12 Years a Slave. Mm-hmm. And, it was like after it, we just started thinking about our family, because you think of what the slaves went through, to survive. And then us being here now, you've got to be so thankful. You just don't know what they went through. It must have been amazing. So it made us start thinking about our grandparents and all that stuff. And then my mom, like both of my parents are native Los Angelenos. My parents were lived in Los Angeles, born in the Watts area. And at that time, like blacks could only live in a certain area. Right. And, things have changed.
Yeah, things were restricted.
Yes, very restricted. They had those
covenants.
They
even used the term restricted too, and they didn't, that was just it. Right. There was no subtlety.
Right.
The Jews live here, and that's where the Jews are.
Absolutely.
African Americans here, and that's where the African Americans are, and Mexicans there, and that's it for the Mexicans, and and people just can't believe that that was the system, and that system fell apart. Because it was a lousy system.
It was a lousy
system. Just took a long time to have it fall apart.
Took a long time. And, it's interesting. Like, I taught fourth grade, and I taught in Long Beach, which is quite diverse. Like in my classroom, I would have Hispanics, Cambodians, Vietnamese, whites, everyone. Right. And then when we would study about the civil rights movement, what have you, and we even did the play in my class. We did the play on Rosa Parks, like sitting on the bus, And the kids, they go, but Miss Mashaka, I don't understand it. Why did they have to sit here just because their color is different? And to them, it's unfathomable. They can't even imagine.
So what is your answer to the children?
My answer was that was the law. And because of it's the law, does that make it necessarily correct? So if you have laws that are really not justified and what have you, it's your right to change that,
Good for you. That's a good thing for young children to take that takeaway message that,
absolutely.
Oh, no, things change, and sometimes you have to agitate for social change.
Yes.
And sometimes it takes a much longer time than you might imagine.
Yes.
For example, the whole idea of women exercising. Now, that's something that our generation thinks, well, of course, is that an issue? But our mom's generation, moms didn't exercise, not in public.
Not at all. And, I'll tell you something. My mom, even me, when I was in high school, like people always ask me, oh, Paulette, did you play this or that? And so I go, no, they didn't have sports for girls when I was in high school. I graduated in 1966. There were no sports.
Right. People find that hard to believe.
So I was on the drill team, But I had all
brothers. The drill team what?
And
drum majorette?
Well, yeah, like a dancer, like what have you. But I had all brothers, so I played all the sports. I was always the fastest kid. I could be in the 6th grade. They said, "Paul, we're going to get the fastest boy to race you." I said, "Bring him on." Of course, I beat him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I also ran track. But I had all brothers, so I played all the sports. But then you go to high school, and there was nothing for girls. And even when we played basketball, you know how at that time the girls, you could only play half court. You could only dribble 3 times. Then you had to pass the ball because our bodies were supposed to be so frail that we couldn't play a full court. Right. We could only go half court and could only dribble 3 times.
And when did they change that rule?
Probably when Title IX came into being, probably 72 or what have you.
That actually sounds funny now.
I know.
At the time, you must have been thinking, boy, that's really dumb. This is just completely dumb.
It's ludicrous because I had played basketball in the yard with my brothers and all the neighbors all my life,
I did not know that. The only thing I remember in high school, I know that we had a girls' field hockey team. Nobody even plays field hockey anymore. They even call it field hockey. They stopped doing that.
Well, that was the GAA, which was the Girls Athletic Association. So you were either in the GAA or you were on the drill team. And of course, I wanted to be on the drill team.
Better outfit?
Better outfit.
The outfit is all. No, I completely agree with you.
Much better outfit.
And what do you do now for wellness in 2014 that you and your hubby didn't know in 1970? Obviously, you were both athletes. You were both into fitness. But what are you doing now that you think this is important and we didn't know that 40 years ago?
Well, I never took vitamins before. But now I really do see the importance of it.
Make you feel better?
Oh, yeah. I take, like omega-3. I take Centrum. And I take glucosamine because when I'm playing this tennis, I've had foot injuries like plantar fasciitis. That's very, very painful. Right. I've had calf strains. I've had my LCL pulled, Sure. So you need, when you're straining your body to that extent, and at my age, at 65 years old, I've got to realize that I have to train. I've got to keep my body conditioned. So I try to make sure that I walk, I stretch. When I get up in the morning, that's the first thing I do is try to stretch all my ligaments and what have you. And I find that really protects me. Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the exercise is important and, supplementation, Absolutely. More careful diet.
Absolutely.
And one thing that I do notice, because in the 60s, I started doing yoga. I read Richard Hittleman. Mm-hmm. Richard Hillman first. My mom got me a book. I think it was in black and white pictures.
Yeah.
And I used to look at this book, and I never could have envisioned that yoga would become so mainstream.
Yes,
I never could have predicted it. And also the whole eating carefully thing. As a young man, I was vegetarian. Mm-hmm. I never thought it would become mainstream the way it largely has. I didn't have the vision to see that.
Right.
My father, who had friends, my father was a podiatrist. My father had friends who owned pharmacies. Mm-hmm. And my father used to say to me, this was back in the early 80s.
Right.
Oh, no. The natural food store is going to go the way the pharmacy went. That is, they're going to get bigger and bigger. And my father could see it. He had vision.
He's absolutely
I
correct.
thought, nah, Dad, I don't think so. Well, my father was right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Yes.
And so other women your age that you play tennis with, so the other women obviously exercise, they know it's important. And they eat carefully, they know it's important. Yeah. And just kind of taking it as a given now, right?
Yeah. And then another thing, I play on a lot of different levels. Mm-hmm. Like I'm on a 55 and plus team. I'm on a 40 and plus, 40 years and older. I'm on an 18 and over team, So I play. Most of the time when I play, I'm the oldest person playing.
No kidding.
Except when I play in the super seniors, which is for ladies who are 60 and older. Then that's when I play with people who are my age. But most of the time when I play the USTA league matches on the weekend, the women, they're normally younger than me, and especially when I play singles, because not a lot of ladies in the 60s, play singles. But I'm actually...
Do you win most of the time?
Well, when I play singles, yes. I win more in singles than I do in doubles.
Why is that?
I'm in shape. I can move. I have a lot...
No, right, for your shape, right.
Yeah, I have mobility, and when people find out that I've got grandkids, they can't believe it. They go, what? I thought you were in your 40s. I go, oh, no.
That's a nice compliment.
I know, very nice compliment.
Yeah, it's interesting, the whole, eating carefully, exercising thing.
Absolutely.
Which just seems like not a lot of work. It's like any other subject. After you know it, it seems like that's real easy. It's very straightforward after you know it.
Yeah, but I feel like in life is moderation. you do things in moderation, you'll be fine. When you overexert or anything, you're going to have problems in anything you do in life. And and you're talking about yoga. I can remember, I think this is when we lived in St. Louis. I took up, like the PBS stations, they had that Hatha yoga. And so
was it with Lilith, I think?
Yes.
That was very big for a long time.
That was very big for a long time. And I used to watch that religiously. And, go into all those poses and what have you. It's so beneficial.
Yes.
But I'll tell you something, how my healthness kind of started. When I was a kid, I can remember my mom doing exercises at home. And I think that's just a carryover, as a kid, seeing my mom doing exercising.
Yeah, for sure.
And then when I had my first child in 1972, afterwards, I used to always exercise with Jack LaLanne. He was my guru. This was like in the 70s, And I loved it when he says, okay, I want all those knees up and like you're jogging in place. And then the commercial break comes and he's like still...
No,
but
he's
that half an
remarkable.
hour with Jack LaLanne, that got me in the best shape.
Yeah, I think Jack LaLanne, I think his TV show ran, I think I'm correct on this, 28 years. I believe he had the longest running TV show ever in the United States. And people kind of laugh now to think like, well, what's the big deal, exercise? But when Jack did it, no one else was doing it. No one was doing it. And Jack, I think, started a gym in Oakland, California when people said, what's a gym? What exactly is a gym? No, he's had a lot of effect. He's very good.
Yes, and he was like one of the first into juicing, he had that juicer and all of that.
He was great.
He was great.
I used to watch when I was a teenage boy in my 20s.
Yeah.
And he'd always attack, bad food. And but he never would say Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola. He'd never say that. He always said soda pop.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself as a young boy, I thought, Jack, why are you so wishy-washy? Say it's Coca-Cola. But now that I've gotten older, I realized, okay, no, it's better to just say it's soda pop.
Yeah.
But he really gave a great message. He gave a great message.
He did.
Eat carefully, exercise. He made it to 94.
Yes.
I had Franco Colombo on my show, the Mr. Olympia, friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes,
I had him on the show twice. And I said to Franco on the air, I said, boy, Jack LaLanne only made it to 94. Why? I thought he'd do better. And Franco actually laughed because I guess really, as you get older, things do happen. But I really thought, man, this guy make it to 120 for sure. I really thought, hey, Jack LaLanne.
So too.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the problem was there. I didn't really know him in any way.
Yes, I really was.
I do think he was taking some meds at the end and had some surgeries, and God knows what happened. I don't really know.
Yeah,
but he really had a lot of influence.
Yes, he did. And then, the swimming and what have you. So he really made you think about your diet and your body too, like exercising and what.
And by the way, you might know this, the term jumping jacks.
Yeah.
That's his exercise.
Oh, yeah.
It's about Jack LaLanne, jumping jacks. Isn't that lovely?
Really?
Yep.
I
didn't know that.
Not know
I read that somewhere and I thought, oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's like all my life. That's the first thing you have the kids do, jumping jacks. Because I also, when I taught, I coached the track team in middle school, So, oh, yes. I've sort of like been in sports all my life,
Did your teams win?
Of course, my first year we won the championship. It was so fantastic. I coached the boys track team. I'd have them.
Oh, you coached boys?
Yes, I coached the boys and the girls track team.
And the boys listened to you?
Oh yes.
This was in the 80s, 90s?
This was in the 90s. In the 90s,
Now, you and your husband took the children. You traveled around the globe.
Right.
And your husband built cities.
Right.
So. Were you in any particular cultures where you learned stuff about food that you thought, oh, this is a great thing to eat? We're eating, goat cheese here or goat meat or something. I'm not going to joke. Is there anything you thought, we should incorporate this?
Well, when we lived in Saudi Arabia, it's like that Mediterranean diet. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's very healthy for like the tomatoes they have, the vegetables that they use.
Food was just great tasting.
Yes, very, very good, And they eat no pork there, and pork is really not supposed to be healthy for you,
Not considered the aggressive meats, So
yeah.
I think chicken, turkey are probably better choices.
Yeah,
lamb,
absolutely.
pork, fun, but not necessarily the best choice. People don't feel that. Some people do feel that as far as eating meat, that they feel pork is somewhat of an inflammatory meat, as opposed to chicken, turkey, lamb, which they feel are less problematic. I'm just repeating that.
Right. Although pork does taste good.
It does taste good, actually. Yeah. We all know that, really. People eat pork, right? Oh, well, Paulette, how do we get in contact with you? Or how about in some of the leagues where you play?
Well, USTA, USTA has a website, and if you want to play tennis, you just go onto the USTA website, and it'll say find tournaments, it'll say find, league play or what have you, and you just click onto that, and they have a person there that you contact, and they'll give you all the information in your area where you want to play.
Well, Paulette Misaka, thanks for being a guest today on my show.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
It was fun. Thank you.
Okay.
You're listening to Here's to Your Health. on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Josh Lane. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Thank you for tuning in to LA Talk Live, reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we're more than just talk. Stay tuned.
It started out like a totally normal day.
I love you.
I mean, I guess I was a little sweaty and I was definitely sore. I thought I had gas. Turns out I was having a heart attack. Heart disease is the #1 killer of American women. So now I take care of myself and tell the other women in my life to do the same. Make it your mission to save your life and the lives of the women you love. Find out more from the American Heart Association at goredforwomen.org.
St. Gregory the Great Catholic School is proud to host our 4th annual golf tournament at Westridge Golf Club on Friday, February 28, 2014. Events like this and people like you help make a difference that enrich the lives of our children in both educational and extracurricular activities. There is still room for golfers who believe in making a difference in the lives of our children. We want you to join us on this day. We are forever grateful for your support. Enjoy 18 holes of golf, green fees, cards, and a hot meal, dinner and dance. The website you should go to for more information is www.stgregorythegreatschoolwhittier.org. Again, www.stgregorythegreatschoolwhittier.org. Or you can call 562-941-0750, extension 771. Again, 562-941-0750, extension 771.
Hey everybody, it's your man Sabir Bey back on your airwaves, inviting you to join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Sabir Bey Show, discussing history, law, and hip-hop. Every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Sabir Bey Show, exclusively on latalklive.com. You also can catch us on iTunes Radio and R&B, Live 365, Radio Flag, and now Stitcher Radio. Or watch us and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
What's up? It's your girls, Forbidden Gems, inviting you to join us every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. sharp for the hottest, livest talk show, Forbidden Tuesdays.
Join us as we expose the new generation of love and dating, all the craziest entertainment news, and the wildest on-air interviews with the hottest artists.
So don't forget to tune in to Forbidden Tuesdays every Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. exclusively on latalklive.com and the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network.
You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch and listen directly at latalklive.com. Reality radio for your listening and viewing pleasure. This is
LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
You ready?
We did it!
Finally.
Hi. Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute. Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Here's to Your Health on the LA Talk Live broadcast network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. My guest, Sunny Nason, works on higher brain wellness and is a graduate naturopath naturopath. Sunny, welcome to the show. Did I get your last name correct?
Yes, Nason, correct.
And so where'd you go to school get your ND degree?
I actually went to 3 different schools. I started at Bastyr.
Oh, Bastyr?
Yep. Mm-hmm. I ended up at a school in Florida, and then I actually finished through a school in India.
Oh, no kidding?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What school
Indian
in India?
Board of Naturopathic Medicine.
And so the ND degree in the United States, you're licensed in what? Washington State, Oregon State, Nevada, Arizona?
Yeah, there's several states. It's actually a national license. I had to just apply for both. So I'm actually licensed in 17 countries.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
And so my father always pronounced it naturopathic physician, so that seems a little old-fashioned, but I still like it. So what does a naturopathic physician do for their patient?
So I am a doctor of nature cure. So that is healing the
nature
body.
Cure. What a lovely
nature
term,
cure.
isn't it?
Yep.
I love that term.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I don't prescribe anything to anyone that they could get addicted to. So it's nothing that is created in a lab with a stamp on it, but it's really the roots and everything that come from nature as a whole. So, and then it's healing people from the inside out. So not just treating a symptom, but what actually boils down to the said problem within a certain person, and then that affects those entire systems. So it could affect the limbic system or the endocrine system, and how does that flow through? The final result is not the one symptom that I'm treating. I'm treating why that limbic system or endocrine system was harmed in the first place.
Right. Mm-hmm. And do you find that today people get it? People kind of get what you do? They say, oh yeah, we get that.
They do. Yeah, I really don't come across too many people that aren't familiar with it. I mean, as times change, we're coming into more of those times where people are interested in, why exactly do I get sick? It comes from, what's happening with our food or stress mechanisms that we have. And so they really want to get to the root of it. And there's so much new literature that's out there that's just free flowing. And I'm so excited about all of that people are becoming aware that it's a little bit simpler than we think, and I'm here to help them do that.
And by the way, where is your practice?
It's in Burbank.
Where in Burbank?
It's on West Olive, 2907 West Olive Ave. Right now I'm practicing out of a wellness center, and then pretty soon I'll be opening my own Awaken Higher Brain Living Center, where I'll be doing both the technique of higher brain living as well as my naturopathic practice.
And what has the technique of higher brain living taught you that you didn't learn in school?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing that I have always been drawn to is cognitive function and why the body operates as it does down to a cellular level. So back in the day when I was just getting into medicine, it was about the sciences, but I was always curious as to what was going on, what was the cause and effect relationship, what was going on in the body when a stress mechanism happened, and chemically what was happening during those processes. So as time went on, and it was not just about nutrition for me. I grew into Ayurvedic medicine, and then with all the research that comes out about what is happening in the brain neurologically that coincides with people's health, that's what drew me to this system. So now I do a healthy combination of both. I do higher brain living technique, and then I also imply the naturopathic wisdom that I have and knowledge about treating the body if someone else is stuck in a certain dimension, whether it's a skin condition or whether they're having panic attacks,
And you find now that people listen to your advice and people get good results.
They do.
Okay, let's do brain function then.
Yeah.
So let's say you have someone, young like you, older like me. What do you recommend for brain function? Obviously, that's an important subject. What is some of the recommendations you give people brain function?
Okay. Well, here's something that's really good to know is when you're talking about wellness in general, we think about mind and body together, right? Yes. Generally, we do. But we do now. Yeah. Well, we do now. But people don't necessarily really pay attention to that mind aspect. So here's the thing. You can take $100 bottle of supplement for something in your body, but your body is not going to recognize if your mental capacity or mental function is not allowing for instance, your endocrine system to work properly. You're not going to absorb that nutrient in the capacity in which it was formulated for you to absorb it. So what I do and why this falls so great into my practice is when someone is going through the higher brain living program, we are actually shifting energy from the lower part of the brain up into the prefrontal cortex. From that, we apply that energy to a 4-dimensional growth model. Within that growth model, we have the
4 dimensions. So
4 dimensions.
Time, is that it?
It's not time. It's actually a graphed model that we use. It's an integral graph that we use. It's mind, body, environment, and relationships. So a person living as a human being cannot be deduced beyond those 4 dimensions of life as we know it. So if they're experiencing something in one of those categories, they're all combined. They're all interconnected. So let's say now that you want to take some supplement because your physical body is not exactly where you want it to be. Well, why is your physical body not where you want it to be? You might have a really bad case of some type of maybe skin condition because you're a nervous wreck. Why are you a nervous wreck? Because you're not living to your potential. You have somebody telling you that you're not worth anything. So you see how if you put this into an integral graph, which I do have a copy of it if you want to see, but you can see why that person is not going to thrive by just taking the supplement, like I said before. So what I do is
very good point.
Yeah. So what I do is I combine getting the person operating from that true, authentic self with shifting the energy up into the higher brain. You're also able to absorb all of the nutrients in the fashion. You can introduce other modalities into your body in the fashion that they were meant for the body to absorb. You are now going to get that result that you want. So now we combine those two things. So it's like let's build someone into that structure of operating from their authentic self, creating their goals, whether that be in the health or their job or whatever that is. But let's just say that it's health. It's let's get your body ready and in that capacity to be able to absorb all the things that will help you thrive in that element. So let's get your mind focused, and then let's work on that gut.
Well, that sounds great. Now that's kind of a tall order for you as the healer, isn't it? It's a lot that you kind of have to do for a person.
Yeah, well, it's really not, because it actually ends up just as a trigger for that person's own self. And what we do with higher brain living specifically is that person is required to do the work. I'm not doing the work for that person. I'm just facilitating a technique that allows them to get into that space where really their true authenticity starts coming out. So they are going through the homework. I give them homework. It's a 22-step program. And when they're done with that homework, hopefully, well, we haven't had any complaints, but they're declaring what they are, their purpose in life. Okay. So physically and physiologically, that creates a lot of change as well. It's remyelination of what's going on in the brain. It's, the connective tissue is being pushed or stretched in a way. We have a term for the piezoelectric energy that comes out from.
What is that again?
Piezoelectric energy.
Is that a scientific term?
It is, as a matter of fact.
I never heard that. What's the background?
When connective tissue is pushed or stretched in a way, there's subtle energy that moves, and it creates a piezoelectric effect. So it's basically like multiplying the effect of energy that would be traveling within a person. That is, that we are not just. Our energy stream is not just like right here, it ends here. It's a little bit further out. So
yeah, science seems to support that we do actually have an energy field. Which
it's about 15 feet.
That's what I had read that
for most people.
And sometimes if you don't feel well, it might shrink a little bit.
Yeah.
And that when your energy field is greater, your health is better. Right. Which is, people might laugh at that. I'm not a scientist, but it makes sense to me. And what about? Let's talk about food. I'm a big food fan. So what foods can a person eat to improve cognition? Okay. And also, what should people avoid?
Yeah. So basically, I like to keep people on a pH balanced diet. And so that means bringing in super greens, things that do not cause an inflammatory effect in a person. There's this couple of herbs that you can take as well, something like olive leaf or turmeric, for instance, for anti-inflammation. But things that you could eat are things that have a lot of chlorophyll in them. So it could be broccoli, it could be sea algae, greens, super greens.
You feel that super greens are specific for cognition?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Super greens have been known to work specifically on different sections of the brain. So, yes, cognition just goes along with that as well.
And turmeric, are you seeing turmeric as a super green?
No, that's just an example of an herb that you can take to help with anti-inflammatory conditions that you might have.
Is turmeric itself good for memory? I'm not sure. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems to be good for a lot of things.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's a lot of people that are doing studies on Parkinson's and dementia that are incorporating capsulated turmeric into what they're giving for patients, and you can either go to like a Whole Foods and buy the root and start making it in tea or putting it in your food, or the liquid substance is actually better. I don't really recommend doing the capsulated dried blends.
You prefer the liquids as a practitioner?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's absorbed immediately into the system. Plus, sometimes when when you're disrupting a little bit of the elemental structure of the actual the root. Let's say you're taking turmeric, because you have to dehydrate it and then you have to put it into a powdered formula, and then it's going inside a capsule, and the capsule might be made out of vegetable cellulose or something. But there's just a few extra ingredients that I don't think are necessary. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what else can I use besides greens for cognition? What else do you like to recommend?
So spinach, things that have a lot of iron in them as well. Yeah, there's, different berries. There's a lot with the acai berry that it's popular. It's about combining good foods as well as not going overboard, combining fruits and vegetables all together at the same time. That actually creates a little bit of fermentation and therefore an inflammatory reaction within the body.
You do the Herbert Shelton food combining lazy thing, is that it?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, that first came out in 1951.
Yeah,
that's
a long time
Nutrition.
ago.
Right. Yeah, great. I was a strict Sheltonite as a young man. What about fish oils? Do you like fish oils for cognition?
I do, yeah. Fish oils are great. In combination with other vitamins, you could also get a liquid formula of your vitamin that has fish oils in them. Or if you're missing just the one of the omegas, you can just choose that as a single note and have that in your diet as well.
And when you work with, let's do memory here. So let's say working with various clients who have, say we have memory issues, and Sunny, help us. And so how fast before sometimes it kicks in, they think, okay, here's the recommendation, and they come back 2 days later, 1 week later, and they say, Sunny, that kicked in.
Yeah.
How often?
Are you mean with higher brain living?
Or with higher brain living and with cognition, with nutrition, whatever you give them, and they say, wow, that kicked in right away.
Yeah. Usually they do say that it kicks in right away, but they have homework to do as well. It's not just a happy pill that you take that solves everything.
Right.
So
make them do work.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So, but for instance, with higher brain living, that is the technique where people see results immediately. And then we give them 1 week to process in between sessions, because so much change is happening physiologically in their body, as well as the amount of, quote, clarity that they're receiving. It's really their intuition kicking in. And so those types of results end up carrying through in all of those 4 categories. That's why the homework is so important, to be able to point out in what all those 4 dimensions, what's happening there. But yes, also with supplementation, you could see sometimes there's a little bit of extra toxicity that has to leave the system and be filtered through. And if someone's maybe having a kidney issue as well, you have to take into consideration that is not going to happen immediately,
right.
But they will see results very quickly, and they'll feel so much healthier and cleaner by doing that than popping a Tums or something
right.
like that.
And please mention the 4 dimensions once again.
The 4 dimensions of a person that we're existing on are our mind, body, environment, and relationships.
Well, that seems perfectly clear. And my great topic always is processed sugar. Please tell the listening audience in LA Talk Live, what does processed sugar do to us?
Oh my goodness. What doesn't it do to us? So we've had studies for a really long time about what the sugar is doing. We have, even in traditional Western medicine, and I have a great group of people that I like to refer out to. It's not just that, Nature Cure might be the thing for every single person. So in my network of people, I like to stay up on what what are they treating for people. Right. And we have a lot of the same things. There's blood sugar issues, hypertension, anything that has to do with sugar in the blood is dangerous. It starts causing a lot of issues as well as leads to certain cancers and things like that. So what ends up happening a lot with people, they try to push too much protein into their diet, and I call it a spiraling effect, really. And so too much protein coupled with the wrong type of sugar, which means it's not coming from a complex carbohydrate, something like a sweet potato or the quinoa, not matching those two things together in order to pull nutrients out of the body the way that it's supposed to be before peristalsis kicks in. It's this spiraling effect that they match that wrongly with too much of the wrong sugar that creates the spike or the major valley, really, with what's happening in a person's blood, what they're feeling, and how they get either a surge of energy, but it's actually a false positive on that energy. So it's actually over the long term, it's creating a more acidic effect in a person's bloodstream, and that leads to certain things like arthritis or swollen blood vessels, things like that. We definitely want to avoid. So doing more natural sugar, in terms of some people are okay with a raw honey, something like that. There are certain kinds of agave that's okay to have. You don't want the one that's been that's not raw. And there are some.
Is there raw agave?
Yeah, there's raw, and then there's actually the two different kinds. Some of them are commercialized in a way that you have to read the labels. It's important, but certain stevia, there's the two different kinds of the stevia, so you want to always read the labels. Yeah, so people are okay to absorb those types of sugars, okay, to not create the spike effect. Yeah, so.
Well, that very good information, Sunny. Thank you. Now, what about when we do consume protein? Do you follow the protocol of protein, breakfast, lunch, and dinner to keep blood sugar stable?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's depending on your blood type. I do a lot of work with blood type as well. That how
do you determine? So, what do you do? You do a blood test?
Yeah, I love reading. Actually, it's one of my necessities that I do a blood panel for my clients, and I like to see what exactly is going on with them, what their cholesterol level is like, and what kind of red blood cells or white blood cells. And I like to do a metal toxicity scan as well to see if there's any heavy metals in the blood.
And usually people have heavy metals. It's kind of almost everyone does, don't they?
We do, and it has to do with our food consumption as well as the chemicals that we're come into contact with regularly. And we have the little bit of radiation that we're still experiencing from the whole Fukushima thing, and it's coming through still.
Coming through the food or coming through the air or both?
Yeah, right. So we have to watch out and protect our thyroid glands and making sure we take our kelp and iodine and things like that.
On the blood type diet, explain that to my listeners who may have heard the term but don't really know.
Sure. Yeah. Well, there are some dietary restrictions and then some positives and some negatives based on what your blood type is. And this came out, back years ago. I remember reading about it in '98, and I really, this is how it got my interest in doing nutrition based on what your blood type was.
What's his name? Peter Diamo or something?
Diamo.
The chiropractor?
Yeah. It was a second generation of work. It was his dad's work, and then he took it over, and then, and progressed with that. But so for instance, like a type A blood type definitely needs to have some carbs in their diet, as well as grain or a complete protein like a quinoa or an egg, something like that. It's just that other blood types, like O, for instance, make a person run a little more acid. Those people generally run more acid, and so they digest proteins a lot better and faster than other blood types. So it's matching, really. It's really cool science to be able to match what's going on with a person's blood, and then go through their checklist of the things that could make their body thrive or their digestion, and grabbing, like I said, those nutrients out of your food before it's digested. That's really what it's all about. So finding the right combos of those things and being able to, be good with it, be good about it. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And what type of animal proteins do you favor or not favor? Are you vegan or are you vegetarian?
I'm not a vegetarian, no, but I don't really eat a lot of red meat, or I like to actually teach quality of life. I lecture on label reading and nutrition and what's going into our system, and how those things break down and what we're really getting out of them. So I like to, I teach quality of life. If you do something to throw your body out of balance, then I like to let people know that there is a way to rebalance the body and then not go too overboard with certain things. Like stop eating the chicken wings if the fat from them or the sauce that's on the outside is creating a blood sugar level problem for you. But yeah, I tend to like fish. I love seafood, but certain grains, sprouted grains, whole grains, things that haven't been processed so much. So in terms of like maybe brown rice, you don't want the instant rice and those things. But those are my favorites. But I definitely work with people with their different blood types to avoid certain things. If their body is having a certain reaction, then we just take them off those things for a little while and then integrate it back in.
So if people wish to use animal protein foods, do you see eggs and fish as being two lighter and very good choices?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then chicken, turkey, lamb are secondary choices. But if you want to really live to be 120, you can still do it on fish and eggs. Kind of leave it at that.
Exactly, and different legumes. Mm-hmm. And aduki beans are some of my favorite, especially if people have situation like gout or something that come up. You can make a great congee with aduki beans and just keep that going. But that's what I.
Do you get much call for aduki beans? You don't hear much about aduki beans these days, do you? Really, it's not really a big item anymore.
I make the stock in aduki beans go up because I tell people to use them. Yeah, so
I had Willie Southall on my show. Willie is a man, must be 80, and his entire career as a herbalist, hyssop.
Yeah,
Willie has. And hyssop, everyone uses hyssop, and they know it is. And Willie, one guy, is the responsible. That's not a joke. In 1970, Michael Tierra, as far as I know, was responsible for reviving echinacea.
Oh.
Michael Tierra. Before that, he studied in the 60s, and then he started to promote echinacea. And echinacea, I think, remains the number 2 selling herb in the country. Number 1, garlic. Echinacea 2. Number 3, golden seal.
Yeah.
But that was Michael Tierra. Sometimes one person is responsible. I had the pleasure of hearing John Christopher, the Mormon herbalist, lecture in Florida in his 70s. Mm-hmm. And John Christopher is credited with making cayenne pepper a household term. Thanks. No kidding. No, John Christopher.
Wow.
And so it's amazing how one person can have enormous influence.
Yeah, they create a great tipping point, especially when their focus and energy is really making them strive toward a certain goal.
And they persevere.
Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that you actually said that because, I really want people, especially in the Los Angeles area, to know about being able to do this combination work like I do. I'm the first person in Los Angeles to do this technique, higher brain living. And I have always believed in wellness as a whole person, connecting mind and body and all of that. And I think that as people are becoming more aware of the side effects of maybe certain foods, I'm really proud of people for trying to do organic. And we have a lot of that. This is a very progressive area. And we have a lot of farmers markets and all of that. Right. This combination of getting your mind really into that state where all of this crazy stuff that maybe causes stress mechanisms to take over in your life, and then you don't know which way is up, and then you don't know which supplements to take. Everything sounds like noise. We're at this tipping point right now where we have all of the greatest tools that we can use. This is the best time that we've ever had it. How are we going to use everything to our advantage and create a thriving community? And so my practice, and just as maybe a closing note, this has become this is what my life's work is all about.
Sunny, where is your practice as we wrap up?
2907 West Olive Avenue in Burbank.
Isn't that the NBC studio area?
It is.
It's a very lovely area.
Yeah, and I have a new website that's just about to launch with a store and everything. It's going to be called ourhiddengem.com. Look for it in about a week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sunny. You've been listening to us today on the LA Talk Live Broadcast Network. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. Stay tuned.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.